Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto. Let the world feel pain from now on. Chapter 81. After a long time, Sasuke learned how to seal up the ghoul. Although it was only usable, and it was at the stage of knowing its principle and not knowing its reason, he still understood one thing. Don't need to feel it, he was scammed by Naruto. The night came, and the silver-white moonlight enveloped the earth. In the quiet Uzumaki Noodle Hall, here is the Shinigami mask, which is the key to unlocking the ghoul seal. Sasuke looked at where Naruto was looking for the Shinigami mask, and said with a thorny tone, "Naruto, you haven't told me that you have to have a laparotomy to unlock the ghoul seal. When the ghoul was first learned, you must use the Shinigami mask to assist you to cast it, but you can use it without the mask when you are proficient. This is why Sarutobi Hiruzen put the Shinigami mask back into the Noodle Hall. After all, wearing a permeating mask with him, and exuding a cold breath from time to time, is personally unwilling. But if you want to control Shinigami, crack the seal in reverse, and rescue the soul trapped in it, you must be assisted by the Shinigami mask. And one of the steps is to cut a knife into his stomach, driving Shinigami's stomach to be cut open by the way to release the soul in it. This kind of pain is not at all weaker than removing the eyes and putting them back together, plus the pain of tearing the soul, may be even more painful than simply changing the eyes. With such a calculation, it is better to agree to Naruto from the beginning and pull off his eyes to land him alone." Blood loss. Facing Sasuke's question, Naruto remained unmoved, and continued to rummage in the Nami Hall, looking for the real Shinigami mask, while replying in a flat tone, "But didn't you ask? You asked for it. Help me use the ghoul to seal it all up." Sasuke's mentality was a little broken, so Zan couldn't hold back his fragrant mouth. In the end, he let out a long breath and calmed down. "The things that I promised, even if it hurts, I have to finish it, otherwise it would be too bad." What's more, Naruto didn't let him help in vain, and promised to give him a Super S-level lightning-style attack ninjutsu practice method after it was done. So comforting herself, Sasuke barely managed to do a good job of psychological construction. It was at this time that Naruto finally picked up a grimace mask, and a hint of joy emerged in his tone. "Found it." Turning his head, looked at Sasuke. "Let's go to endgame, let's unlock this seal." Sasuke's eyes twitched, then reluctantly reached out and put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. The next moment, the scene changes. The two came to the end of the valley, in a secret cave that had just been opened. Naruto handed the Shinigami mask to Sasuke, and then turned on Sage Mode, which activated Kagura's eyes, guarding against possible accidents. Sasuke took the mask and sighed. After a 3-second pause, he finally put the Shinigami mask on his face. At the same time, Sasuke began to unfamiliarly form the seal of the ghoul. In the cave, the cold atmosphere became more intense, and a tall, translucent Shinigami appeared behind Sasuke. As soon as this Shinigami appeared, he cast a malicious look at Naruto. In this cave, there are only Naruto and Sasuke. Now that Sasuke has summoned him, it is obvious who the enemy is. Naruto, who was staring at Shinigami, felt a little bit cold. Frowning slightly, chakra flowed slightly faster in the body, eliminating this feeling. "I can't beat this Shinigami for the time being, and the strength of my soul is much stronger than mine," Naruto muttered in his heart, temporarily extinguishing his plan to counteract this Shinigami with the sealing technique and become his own puppet. At this moment, Sasuke did not hesitate too much. The moment Shinigami appeared completely, he controlled him to wave the short sword and swipe it towards his stomach. Hiss. While the wound appeared on Shinigami's stomach, the wound appeared on Sasuke's stomach, and there was also tearing pain in his soul. This pain exceeded the limit of Sasuke's endurance, and he almost fainted directly. Fortunately, in the end Sasuke relied on great willpower to overcome it. Shinigami, who was staring at Naruto maliciously, was shocked and looked down at the crack in his stomach. A ball of light representing the human soul floated out of the gap. Not waiting for this Shinigami to do anything, Sasuke's infinite Izanagi in his right eye activates. A tear of blood slid down from the corner of his eyes, and the space seemed to pause for a moment, and then Sasuke's figure disappeared from the place, and when he reappeared, he was already standing next to Naruto, and the wound on his stomach also disappeared at this moment. Even the clothes were restored to their original state. If it weren't for Sasuke's eyes with blood and tears at the moment, and his face was pale, everything seemed to have never happened. And that Shinigami was even more shocked at this moment. However, limited to the rules, he couldn't do anything. After a malicious look at Naruto and Sasuke, they disappeared helplessly. The ball of light, representing the soul of Naruto's father, froze for a while, and then seemed to have received some information. It floated over, lovingly revolved around Naruto a few times, and then sank into his body. Naruto. A gentle voice rang in Naruto's heart. Closing his eyes, Naruto looked at the young blonde man who appeared in his spiritual world. A soft smile from his heart appeared in the corner of Naruto's eyes, and he couldn't help but rush to hug him. Father, thanks for your hard work these years. Touching the hair of his son who was only slightly shorter than him, a touch of complexity appeared on Namikaze Minato's face. After coming out of the absolutely closed environment of Shinigami's belly, he received the message from chakra he had left in the world and understood what had happened over the years. However, in the end he didn't say much. After a moment of silence, Namikaze Minato smiled and said, "I can feel that there is a force pulling my soul. I am afraid I can't be with you anymore. I'm going to find your mother. I can't make her lonely too long. Just like I said when we met last time, no matter what happens, we must live well." Quote. Naruto was stuck in his heart. He had a lot of things to say to his father, and he also had a lot of questions to ask him, but in the end he couldn't say it. Before leaving, Namikaze Minato raised his hand and confronted Naruto with his fists. A golden light shined on Namikaze Minato. Then, these golden lights flowed into Naruto's body along the arms that connected them. In the sealed space, another Kurama with a slightly dim color appeared. He and the other Kurama looked at each other, and then rushed to each other, gradually merging with one another, regardless of each other. Naruto didn't care about what was happening in the sealed space, staring at Namikaze Minato's disappearing body in a daze. Why? Finally, Naruto sighed. Yin and Yang merged into one, and Kurama once again returned to its full form of heyday. Comparing with his half-length experience in Shinigami's belly, Kurama sighed. Although staying in this kid's body can only watch dramas and play games, it's a little boring, but compared to the time when Shinigami didn't see the sun in his stomach, it was much better. With emotion, Kurama called out Naruto, who was in a daze, and a triumphant voice appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Naruto, you enter Kurama mode now, try using my chakra." In response, Naruto's heart moved, and her figure was enveloped by the golden chakra, opening the Nine Tails golden body. In reality, Naruto opened his eyes and looked at himself, and found that the pattern on his body was more complicated and gorgeous than before. Under the background of the rich golden light, it was completely no different from the performance of VIP level promotion. If half of Nine Tails golden body mode is called V15, then Naruto must be V16 no matter what. After Kurama's yin and yang chakra merged, Naruto opened the golden body in addition to its appearance becoming more gorgeous, but also can clearly feel that there is a stronger force flowing in the body than before. Under the blessing of Kurama chakra, Naruto's already powerful physical fitness has ushered in an all-round improvement. Whether it is strength, speed, neural response ability, defense power and recovery ability, they are not the same as before. It can be called a geometric increase. If the previous Kurama mode brought Naruto an increase of 1, then the current increase is at least 3. In addition, Naruto can still feel that there is a chakra flowing in his body that has never existed before. Under the blessing of this yin chakra, Naruto consumed a little mental power because of maintaining Sage Mode and Kagura's heart, and quickly returned to the state of heyday, and the upper limit of mental power was slowly increasing. Not only that, but Naruto's eyes are constantly taking in the shadows and chakra is undergoing transformation at this moment, and the feeling of numbness is stronger than ever. I feel that if this continues, Sharingan should be able to be turned on in a few days. Kurama can not only recover chakra, but also recover physical damage, and now even the spirit can be recovered. I am a small perpetual motion machine. As long as I don't use excessive chakra per unit of time, Kurama's chakra, which is condensed by absorbing natural energy, can support me in the fight. According to the strength evaluation method of the ninja world, Kurama's power plus me is already a stable super shadow level, and in the super shadow, it should be regarded as a strong one. Maybe it can be compared with the 40-year-old Uchiha. The Dance King is getting stronger. Naruto doesn't think too much of himself, after all, he is still in the growth stage now. I want to say that I am invincible in the world, at least I have to wait another 2 years. Naruto's thoughts turned back and forth, and then he looked down at his palm, and a palm-sized Rasengan appeared between his thoughts. Then, Kurama's yin-yang chakra gathered in this Rasengan in a ratio of 2:8, and gradually condensed a Rasengan that was as black as ink, showing the form of a wind demon shuriken and spinning at a high speed. There was no difficulty in this process. After Kurama returned to a complete state, Naruto's ability to control yin and yang also increased significantly. Not only can Rasengan be made into a round ball, but it can also be made into a more penetrating wind magic shuriken form. This Rasengan, which incorporates the nature of tailed beast bomb, can be called a big spiral chakra. If I infuse a tube of chakra with the upper limit of blue bars, it should not be as powerful as the namikaze noodles in the theatrical version of Road to Ninja. That one is weaker, maybe even stronger. Whispering in his heart, Naruto estimated the power of this Rasengan, took chakra back and dispersed it. Withdrawing from the golden body state, in the sealed space, Naruto praised Kurama. Kurama, it turns out that after you regained your heyday, the bonuses you brought to me are so powerful, you deserve to be the strongest tail beast. Back in the form of a 9-tails little fox, Kurama raised his chin triumphantly, resting on the sofa. The expression is full of continue to praise, don't stop, I am very comfortable. Naruto smiled and didn't try to hit him. Today is a good day, let him be proud. You play first, I have something to say to Sasuke. After saying a word, Naruto withdrew from the sealed space. Then, I saw Sasuke on the side, looking at him with an unhappy expression. Is it cool to become stronger? Naruto nodded honestly and replied, yes, it's cool, I may be more confident now than when you started Mangekyo Sharingan. Hearing this, Sasuke's expression stagnated. This person's mouth is more poisonous than the one who returned from Zuin, so he never forgets to hit him. Subconsciously, Sasuke thought of challenging Naruto confidently before, and then being crushed and beaten by the opponent effortlessly. Now Naruto is also very confident, but Sasuke can't calm Naruto, which makes him extremely unwilling. Because of this, Sasuke is more interested in Naruto's Super S grade, which is 10 times stronger than Kirin's lightning-style attack ninjutsu. Tell me the ninjutsu practice method you promised me. I just died of pain. Sasuke urged Naruto uncomfortably. You don't seem to be in a good state. Does Infinite Izanagi have any sequelae that I haven't discovered before? Naruto glanced at Sasuke, who was pale and still had blood and tears in the corners of his eyes, and asked. Mangekyo's abilities are very powerful, but Sasuke's is not an eternal eye after all. Unexpected adverse reactions during the use process are also normal. Sasuke didn't care much about his poor state. Flirtingly said. The problem is not big, it is that after using Infinite Izanagi, chakra cannot be recovered. The wound on my soul also consumes extra chakra to recover, so I am a little weak now. However, apart from consuming a little more chakra, there is no other problem. My pupil technique is really strong, and I can exchange 0 for 1 with people every week. Quote. Ignoring Sasuke's boasting, Naruto was thoughtful. Although Infinite Izanagi's ability is not compromised and can change the disadvantages, does it follow the law of conservation of energy? Whether it is activating the pupil technique or repairing the body, it is the user's own chakra. It seems that the use of the revolving heaven technique and the transfer seal to delay the activation of Izanagi, and then the plan to resurrect people infinitely without consumption will be lost. If you can continuously support the consumption of revolving heaven and Izanagi without overdrawing and dying, then Uchiha Madara with the support of Geto statue can completely resurrect herself without helpless old death, and then wait for Nagato to grow up and offer sacrifice yourself to resurrect him with the wheel of revolving heaven. His thoughts turned. Naruto didn't worry too much about this matter, which was in his expectation. Immediately, Naruto smiled and took out a scroll. I have written the outline of the practice of ninjutsu on this scroll. If you decide to learn it after reading it, I will tell you the details. Sasuke didn't care about Naruto's words and couldn't wait to take the scroll and open it. Electromagnetically accelerated weapons, from beginner to master. The so-called electromagnetic acceleration weapon is a weapon that uses electromagnetic force to convert it into strong kinetic energy, and then launches the object at a very high speed. The subject of modern applied weapons is called electromagnetic gun or rail gun. Electromagnetic gun has a super long attack range, super attack ability, can easily hit the shells to a distance of 300 kilometers away at 5 times the speed of sound. Theoretically speaking, if the energy is sufficient, the electromagnetic cannon can provide strong kinetic energy, and the speed of the propelled projectile is fast enough, the cannonball can have the terrorist power to tear the planet apart. In this scroll Naruto gave to Sasuke a detailed record of the knowledge catalog of electromagnetic acceleration weapons from the entry level to the master level from the learning space. As long as you follow the knowledge catalog and give the content to the complete master, you will be able to become a master weapon scientist in electromagnetic acceleration weapons. In the fantasy works that Naruto has ever seen, Makoto Misaka, the LV5 superpower of the school city, appeared in the Magic Forbidden Book catalog, and a certain scientific railgun. He used a similar ability to speed up the coin and launch it out to scare people. Because it is a super-powered cannonball, it is called a super electromagnetic gun. As a superpower, Misaka Makoto is provided with sufficient computing power from his brain comparable to a supercomputer, and controls the power of lightning to form a suitable magnetic field. After calculating the orbit and the landing point, he can apply this ability freely. As a ninja, Uchiha Sasuke does not have a brain comparable to a supercomputer, but he has a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan with powerful insights that can make up for the lack of computing power. After having enough knowledge of electromagnetic acceleration weapons, he can use his lightning-style chakra as an energy source. The powerful chakra control ability, combined with Mangekyo Sharingan's powerful dynamic vision, constructs a suitable electromagnetic field that can emit objects, and then uses Mangekyo Sharingan's powerful dynamic vision to position it to ensure that it can attack the desired target. In this way, a Super S-class attack ninjutsu with the ability to surpass the unicorn attack, will not be blocked by the vacuum domain, and will not be restrained by the absorption of the chakra ability, and can only be resisted by a sufficiently strong physical defense. Lightning style, electromagnetic cannon technique. Then was born. After all, Sasuke's mother is also called Makoto. As Aunt Makoto's son, learning this ninjutsu should also have a talent bonus. Naruto muttered while looking at Sasuke, who was focused on the scroll. But Sasuke, who was flipping through the scrolls, became more stiff as he watched. The power of the electromagnetic cannon technique described in the general outline of the preface surprised Sasuke's heart, and sighed that Naruto did not lie to him. This is indeed a Super S-level attack ninjutsu that is 10 times more powerful than Kirin. But looking at the long list of pre-learning conditions below, Sasuke felt a little bit fragrant. Advanced physics, advanced mathematics, advanced mechanics, aerodynamics, detailed explanation of electromagnetic acceleration theory, advanced materials science. These books add up, and there are hundreds of books in total. I refused the invitation from Naruto to learn how to exercise my subjective reaction ability. I thought I would have escaped and I didn't need to learn more. Unexpectedly, Naruto was waiting for him here. If you have learned all these books, then there is no problem at all when you exercise your subjective reaction ability. Can you show me this? Since you propose the practice of ninjutsu, you should do the same. Sasuke asked Naruto. At this moment, Sasuke's emotions are very complicated. On the one hand, I really want to learn this electromagnetic gun technique. If this ninjutsu is really as powerful as described, it will undoubtedly promote his strength to a great extent, and it will not be more than the bonus provided by his pupil technique Susanoo, weak. But on the other hand, Sasuke was afraid that Naruto was fooling him. In important matters, Naruto will not lie to him. Sasuke still has this trust. But as it is now, to find a reason to let him study, it can be said that he is doing good for him. In this case, if Naruto fools him, it is entirely possible. So cautious. When I'm tired of studying, my mind is very flexible. Naruto murmured softly. Sasuke heard it, but turned his head to pretend not to hear. The relationship is good, and this kind of thing has to be determined. He doesn't want to read so many books that are difficult to read by name. Ha, come with me. Naruto curled his lips and walked out of the cave. If you want to develop the ninjutsu version of the electromagnetic cannon technique, it is more than just the principle of electromagnetic acceleration. Among them, there will be a lot of problems, which need Sasuke to exert his own initiative to overcome, and finally create success in this ninjutsu. Therefore, Naruto chose to dispel Sasuke's concerns and let him be a tool man with peace of mind. Moments later, on the head of Uchiha Madara's statue, Naruto held a shuriken in his hand. At the same time, he has the extremely powerful wind-style chakra in his hands. Let me first say yes, I will not use the electromagnetic gun technique. After all, lightning style is not what I am good at now. What I am showing you now is the power of kinetic energy weapons. I will use the extremely powerful wind-style chakra to power this shuriken, and then shoot him out to achieve an effect similar to an electromagnetic gun, but because my calculation and perception skills are not enough. Therefore, it is impossible to accurately locate and strike, so you can do whatever you want. Sasuke didn't care when he heard the words, he just wanted to confirm whether the prospect of this technique was really as strong as it was written in the scroll. After that, the wind-style chakra in Naruto's hand condensed to the limit, and then threw the shuriken in his hand. Laugh. The air is split. Because this shuriken was too fast, the moment it left Naruto's arm, it appeared like a teleportation 1,200 meters away. The shuriken rubbed against the air at high speed and began to heat and melt. In the human field of vision, it was as if Naruto's hand sparked a red light, leaving a trace of blood and tears in the air. And this was just the beginning. This shuriken slammed into the forest opposite the end valley in the next instant. Boom! The shuriken hit the ground, and the earth-shaking explosion sounded. The airflow was turbulent, and the shock wave emerged out of thin air, tearing apart the surrounding trees. And on the lake where the shuriken was advancing, a gust of wind blew, and the water ripples constantly. When Naruto and Sasuke came to the explosion site, they saw a deep pothole left on the ground. This kind of power is not inferior to an exploding great fireball, and it is also a great fireball with an attack distance of several kilometers. And this is just Naruto throwing it away. At this time, Sasuke's eyes were burning. I can already imagine how powerful I can be after I truly practice this technique. Sasuke on the side was surging. Can't help but start to yearn. How much strength can he increase after practicing the electromagnetic cannon technique? And Naruto is also lost in thought. Recalling the scene of throwing his shuriken just now, an idea suddenly popped into his mind. Since you can't pinpoint where you want to hit it, aim for it, then throw a few more to make a covering blow. A great fireball will explode with average power. If you lose more than a dozen at a time, even if I can't ignore it either. In this way, it may be possible to make up for the defect that ordinary shurikens cannot cause too much damage to the strong, and cannot force them to move, and it is very useful to clean up trash fish. After thinking for a while, Naruto raised his hand and drew out a dozen shurikens and kunai from Kabuto. Today, the nature and form of wind-style chakra have changed, and Naruto has already cultivated it to the highest level. At the moment of his thoughts, enough wind-style chakra was gathered, and then he raised his hand and threw out these shurikens and the endless amount of suffering. In the air, a red light flashed. Rumble. The explosion sounded even more earth-shaking than just now. In the center of the lake in front of him, within a very small area, more than a dozen thick water columns suddenly exploded. In the airflow fluttered. Naruto kept looking at the area where the projectile was attacked with Kagura's heart. At this moment, the attack was over, and after a little calculation in his heart, he found that his thoughts were not wrong. Throwing objects like this, even if it cannot cause damage to a strong person of the same level, it can still be done by forcing it to move, and it can be called a special fish kill. However, it is better to calculate the landing point as accurately as possible in order to exert greater power. But in this case, the traditional shuriken kunai is not suitable. Perhaps, it would be better to change to a projectile. Naruto thought in his heart and decided to go back and experiment. The exploded water column awakened Sasuke from his longing. He glanced at the center of the lake and couldn't wait to learn the electromagnetic cannon technique even more. Come on, teach me the knowledge I need, I must learn the electromagnetic cannon technique. Sasuke looked at Naruto next to him, his eyes burning. Looking at Sasuke, a nonsensical thought suddenly popped into Naruto's mind. After a long time, Sasuke finally learned the electromagnetic cannon technique, and he chose coins, which are more convenient tossers. Whenever ninjutsu was used, he would be surrounded by lightning in his hand and swiped a handful of coins towards the enemy. Finally, let's say something cool. This is my unique ninjutsu, lightning style. Throw coins. At the thought of this, Naruto couldn't help laughing. What are you laughing at? Sasuke frowned and asked, feeling instinctively that Naruto at the moment had no good intentions. Nothing, I think of happy things. While speaking, Naruto smiled and raised his hand. Well, learn slowly, don't worry. Sasuke was shocked, and also raised his hand. With the two punches facing each other, he felt that a huge amount of complicated content was suddenly squeezed into his mind. One advantage of transmitting information in this way is that it no longer needs to spend a lot of time to memorize, but if you want to understand it, it will take a lot of time. Then go back. Mr. Kakashi has led an escort mission from the village to Nami, and he will leave tomorrow morning. Just take advantage of this time to go out and have a look. Naruto smiled and said to the recovered Sasuke. I don't know if it was a coincidence or a certainty, even though Naruto didn't make a fuss about taking on high-level tasks. In the end, Sarutobi Hiruzen still escorted the bridge-building masters of Namibia, Dasna's mission to their 7th class. However, Naruto didn't care much about this matter. At the moment, Naruto is in a good mood. Not only did the plan go smoothly, but the strength increased by a large margin. And also smoothly flicked to Sasuke, a free tool man, and helped him develop the electromagnetic cannon technique, which was really beautiful. Sasuke was also in a good mood. Thinking of the powerful power of the electromagnetic cannon technique, he couldn't wait to go back and learn. When the Flying Thunder God technique was activated, Naruto took Sasuke back to a high-end apartment currently in the center of the village. See you tomorrow. Good night, Sasuke. After greeting a little, Naruto activated the Flying Thunder God technique again and returned to his home. At the moment, there is no one in the house. Jiraiya went to the red light district again and fooled around. Although he promised Naruto no longer spy, Naruto can't control him if he wants to go to a prostitute. After all, it's just a transaction, one willing to fight and one willing to suffer. Without doing anything extra, Naruto rinsed and slept on the bed. Tomorrow is when a new life begins. The goal he once set is finally about to be realized at this moment. He wants to take a good look at the world he lives in. In the sealed space, Kurama lay lazily on the sofa, watching the drama absently. Seeing Naruto coming in, Kurama was obviously shocked. Come for chicken, Naruto smiled. Recently, Kurama has been obsessed with PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and even watched less dramas. Every time Naruto came in, he couldn't wait to take him to eat chicken. This time, in Naruto's view, the same is true. However, Kurama didn't eagerly turn on the computer, but looked at Naruto with piercing eyes. Do you still remember the small goal you set 2 years ago? Naruto was taken aback for a moment, and then thought of what Kurama was talking about. He once issued a great wish to erase the village under his feet from the map of Ninja World after he has enough strength. At this moment, Naruto's strength has improved a lot, and Kurama has regained his strength in the other half of his body and returned to its heyday, which also makes Kurama a little bit ready to move. Like Naruto, he also hated this village. Seeing Naruto staring at him in amazement, Kurama's expression sank. You won't be affected by Ashura's chakra. Forget your original intention, right? From Kurama's point of view, Naruto agrees with him, and now he has enough strength to not act, and it can only be for this reason. Where is this? You are swollen. Naruto laughed and cried. In order to prevent himself from being affected by the chakra that cannot be eliminated in his body, Naruto basically strictly implements the standard of my life and my body, so it is naturally impossible to be affected by others. Kurama was full of question marks and wondered, since it's not Ashura chakra, what are you hesitating? I didn't hesitate, but I'm still in the growth stage. I still can't be called absolutely invincible in this ninja world. If Uchiha Obito and Black Zetsu are not solved, it's not the wise man who is eager to rise up now. According to the current situation, it won't be long before Sasuke merges with his brother's Sharingan to turn on Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and his strength should grow a lot. It is entirely possible to use the Sharingan in Teacher Kakashi's eyes to cast Obito remotely, kill. And Black Zetsu, to be honest, although I can find his existence now, I may not be able to catch him if he runs away. Next, I will carefully study the sealing technique and find a complete solution to Black Zetsu. After dealing with their behind the scenes, then this ninja world can operate according to our will at will. You have also read comics. You should know that what I said is the most correct way of doing things. Naruto said calmly. Naruto said. Kurama was speechless. It seems that Naruto at this moment is indeed very strong, but there are indeed many enemies to face. In addition to the Obito and Black Zetsu in front of us, there are also members of the Otsutsuki clan who will come to the ninja to harvest chakra in the future. Even when Naruto wants to change this ninja world to make it run in the direction he wants. The three major summoning beast shrines that have been hiding in the dark and observing the ninja world, and the Hakata Hamura brothers, may become his obstacles. Therefore, before this day arrives, Naruto must become strong enough. Those who travel 100 miles or half in 90, everything has just begun, and it is far from time to relax. Calm down, Kurama said seriously. Naruto, no matter what you want to do, I will help you. Even if the old man wants to stop you, I won't let him do what he wants. After all, there is only you in my world. The second half of the sentence only sounded in the fox's heart. Well, let's play the game. Naruto smiled and answered, picking up Kurama on the sofa and walking towards the computer. The next day, at the entrance of the village, when Naruto arrived carrying a travel bag, the three of the 7th class, Kakashi and Sasuke, and Sakura also arrived one after another. As an employer, Dasna was also waiting at the entrance of the village, with impatient expressions all over his face. When receiving the task, the two sides met. Seeing a group of people arrived, Dasna immediately complained, "It's too slow, I've been waiting for you for a long time." However, in the face of Dasner's complaints, the expressions of the three in Class 7 were very cold. Brother Sakura was reading a medical ninjutsu book in his hand. Sasuke looked up at the sky, his eyes were out of focus, and his attention stayed on the high-level textbook that was as difficult as the heavenly book in his mind. On the other hand, Naruto has the same expression as Sasuke, but he doesn't look at the knowledge of high numbers. After all, if you want to use chakra to transfer knowledge to others, you have to learn it yourself first. What Naruto looked at was the knowledge of sealing technique that Kakashi had learned not long ago, and he explained it systematically. With Kakashi, a tool human translator, Naruto has made learning a lot easier. Only Kakashi, facing the complaints of employers, rounded it off with the smooth opening of the social people. Well, this time is just right. Now that we have gathered, let's go, Mr. Dasna. After speaking, he glanced at the three students who were doing their own things, and some helplessly reminded, Naruto, you should pay attention to your surroundings and protect your employer. Naruto nodded casually, but didn't care. After reading the comics, he knows that this wise party named Dasna falsely reported the task level and abruptly increased the difficulty of a C-level mission, which was not dangerous, to the A-level mission of Jonin squad. The three Genin children were kidnapped and deceived morally, and the mission continued. If it wasn't for the 7th squad to be an external squad, excluding the Anbu squad around Jinchuriki, you might just rush to the street in this novice mission. When Naruto's shadow clone took over the mission, various details about getting along with this wise party also confirmed that there was no deviation in the content of the comics. In the mission hall, panic, nervousness, these emotions basically hung on Dasna the whole time. For such a wise party, whether it is based on the universal values of a ninja or another world, termination of cooperation to compensate for economic losses is the most basic. It would be extremely polite to impose severe punishment without beating him. So, Naruto decided long ago, and first follow this wise party out of the village in a rightful way. Then, when you meet a ninja, you just give up the task and take advantage of this rare opportunity to travel. Although Naruto knows Flying Thunder God technique, he doesn't care about Sarutobi Hiruzen. The ninja world is so big that you can go there. But the rare team building of the 7th class can still be reimbursed for a certain amount of travel expenses. In addition, there are 3 free Anbu bodyguards behind him. It can be said that there is nothing more beautiful than this. Naturally, Naruto doesn't mind playing with this wise party for a while. The group set off from Konoha village. In order to take care of the ordinary person Dasna, they did not go too fast. The ninja rushed to the country that he could cross in one day and one night. After taking an ordinary person like Dasna, he walked for a week and crossed the border of the country of fire and entered the region of the country of waves. Along the way, all three of them in Class 7 were immersed in their studies. Kakashi also walked absent-mindedly, continuing to study the sealing technique. Although he has developed a method to seal Sharingan, he has rescued himself from the embarrassing state of blue consumption all the time. However, in the recent process of studying the sealing technique, he has become more and more aware of the power of this discipline, which may be a huge support for him to continue to grow stronger in the future, so he is still studying tirelessly. Kakashi has not forgotten that Naruto once said that the sealing technique of 100 healings mark can completely help him solve the problem of chakra deficiency. Dasna, an alcoholic with a guilty conscience, was reluctant to speak when he saw the group of people in Class 7, and did not ask himself to be bored along the way. During his free time studying, Naruto will also stop to see the local customs in the surrounding towns. Sasuke learns from Naruto and observes the scenery along the way. In the eyes of Sakura, the scenery on this road is not as beautiful as the Uchiha boy. In the silence, this sea-level mission seemed to be over so leisurely. Because soon after they have passed the river, they will be able to send Dasna to their destination, and then they will be able to leave when they have completed the bridge. It was at this time that the group had just entered the country of waves for less than half a day, and something happened. In the forest trail, the seventh group randomly surrounded Dasna, and Kakashi walked forward behind the hall. Halfway through, we passed a puddle. Sakura looked around instinctively a few times, but found nothing unusual. Naruto and Sasuke continued to wander away, pretending that nothing happened. Too weak, too lazy to do it. This is Sasuke's thoughts. Just a little bit of the strength of chakra. Sasuke can be sure that such a weak chicken can be killed 9 with one finger. I'm addicted to studying, don't want to be distracted, leave it to Kakashi. This was Naruto's thoughts. Kakashi sighed helplessly. Among the 3 students, the one who is willing to do it is not strong enough. Although I followed him for a while, he still had a weak foundation and made some progress, but it was not that big. The 2 who are strong enough are unwilling to do it. In the end, he was the only teacher who led the team to clean up these miscellaneous fish. After Kakashi walked through the puddles, 2 chunin in very non-mainstream costumes and Mist Shinobi forehead protector jumped out. Immediately, he wielded his weapon and strangled Kakashi. The 2 Mist Shinobi ninjas who threw out had cruel bloodthirsty smiles on their faces. Seeing the trace of stunner on Kakashi's face because they did not expect this sudden attack, the 2 seemed to have seen the next moment when they dismantled Kakashi. But, the next moment, the 2 Misty Ninja brothers have hung on the tree. From their stunned expressions, it is not difficult to guess that they did not understand how they were hung on the tree. Recalling the stunned expression of Kakashi that they saw a moment ago, they almost simultaneously assigned a word to this expression in their hearts. Unexpectedly, Lord is the actor. At that moment, only Naruto and Sasuke could see exactly what happened. At the moment when 2 Mist Shinobi ninjas were about to tie Kakashi, he didn't even use the body replacement technique. Kakashi, who doesn't have a big blue consuming man named Sharingan, recently picked up the Hitaki knife that he inherited from his father. In addition to the improvement in sealing technique, he has also made great progress in ninjutsu. At this moment, a swift body appeared behind the 2 of them. Then, as soon as he stretched out his hand, he didn't hesitate to push the 2 on the tree beside him. For a ninja, the living is undoubtedly more valuable than the dead. It is a good choice whether it is to torture intelligence or to let the other party's forces pay a ransom. Kakashi occupies an absolute advantage in strength. Sasuke Naruto is enough to protect himself while protecting the little Sakura and the mission goal by the way, making him unnecessary to kill. You stay here honestly, otherwise you will understand it yourself. Kakashi warned the 2 mists hanging on the tree. Then, he cast his indifferent eyes on Darzner. Mr. Darzner, please give an explanation on this matter. There will be no ninjas in the sea-level mission. If you don't have a special reason, we have the right to give up the task. Dasna recovered from the astonishment of the sudden attack, and was questioned by Kakashi. His face suddenly changed. He sighed dejectedly, and started his own performance, tearfully recounting the miserable situation faced by the country of waves at this moment. The evil merchant Cardo controlled the lifeline of the nation's transportation and forced their citizens into desperation. They could only rely on bridge repairs to open the door to the outside world to save themselves. Because too much money was spent on building the bridge, it was helpless to figure out a way to lie about the task level, and asked Konoha to protect the ninja. Among the 4 people in the 7th class, only Sakura, who has a little experience and is more emotional, was touched and couldn't help but cast a sympathetic look at Darsna. Of course, it was just sympathy. Little Sakura hadn't forgotten the ninja manual he had learned. But Naruto, Sasuke and Kakashi are indifferent. Their 3 views are relatively close. For this wise party, according to the rules of ninja, it is extremely polite not to kill him. Especially Naruto sneered at the story of Dasna. The Santeifu asked Kakashi and the others to help restore the country. At the beginning, they directly rated the A-level task under the guise of protecting the actress. You have the money to build a bridge, why don't you just use the money to ask Jonin to kill Cardo? Come here to lie to Genin Kid. There is a problem with the skull. Especially for Kakashi, this is not the first time he has encountered such a thing in his long mission career. This kind of misrepresentation of the task level is irresponsible for their ninja's life, and Kakashi will never condone it. After sighing, he said to the 3 people in Class 7, "So, from now on, let's abandon the mission and return to the village." Naruto nodded, Sasuke nodded when seeing Naruto. Seeing Sasuke nodded, Sakura also nodded. The 7th class reached a consensus to tie up the ghost brothers of Onin and prepare to go back. Sasuke, the city we passed by was quite prosperous, so you can go shopping when you go back. Well, Naruto, there is a food street in that city. You can try it. Maybe there is something that can be added to our hot spring hotel. Sasuke and Naruto chat without anyone else. At this time, Dasna panicked. In the beginning, Dasna had calculated the idea of the well-known Konoha shinobi, and tried the least amount of money to protect them to complete the task of building the bridge. He ate and drank a large part of the mission money that the people of Poland gave him. The B-level missions that will encounter ninjas are only tens of thousands of taels higher than the C-level missions for fighting ordinary bandits and rogues. Judging from the current prices, it is just a few barbecue meals. Although the people of Poland are poor, they are not yet ready to do anything in such a critical place. So much money to build the bridge was spent, there is no need to save money in such a place. If you encounter Jonin during a B-level mission, and finally result in the mission level being upgraded to a level or higher, it can only be regarded as a sudden situation, a risk that the ninja must take, and it is enough to negotiate the reward afterwards. As it is now, misreporting the task level because of insufficient money can only be said to be a problem with Dasna. In Naruto's view, Dasna's idea is not difficult to guess. As long as the mission starts, most of these Konoha shinobi can't let go of the mission. When the task continues, he can also save a lot of money. But he didn't expect that the development of the matter was completely different from what he thought. These Konoha shinobi renounced the mission so decisively, even if they weren't from the well-known Konoha village, their life would be in danger. Until this time, Dasna realized the seriousness of the matter. He could already imagine that without the protection of the Konoha shinobi, he would be killed by Cardo's minions in 3 days, and even his ashes would have to be lifted. And his daughter and grandson also couldn't escape the fate of death. Before Dasna thought about how to keep him, he saw the 7th class with the 2 mists tied up, turned around without hesitation, and planned to leave. Thump. Dasna knelt down and knelt his head while loudly saying, "Please don't give up the mission. Please forgive me for my fault. I will find a way to make up for the mission. Please continue the mission and save me. Save the country of waves." In Naruto's perception, Dasna's emotional fear was mixed with some snickers, and it was not difficult to guess his thoughts. "A few genin ghosts, as long as I pled in a low voice, can you still refuse?" Even Naruto can still think that once they refuse, this human vice-admiral will generate a huge resentment. But who cares? Except for the little Sakura, who looked back at Darsner, the others were unmoved and continued to move forward. Finally, the group of people drifted away. This is the end of the escort mission of the country of Poland. Among dense forests, if he didn't cut his head, he drew his decapitating knife from Darsna's chest, and the blood spewed out. After Dasna separated from the 7th class, he embarked on the way home with resentment and unwillingness. "I comforted myself in my heart that without you humble ninjas, I could go back safely. However, Self-comfort is only self-comfort, and I ran into the two of nostalgia and by without going too far. Life disappeared with the gushing of blood. It's just that all of this didn't cause any waves in the heart of this powerful ninja, who was called a ghost. Only the handsome young man who was following by his side, a trace of unbearableness appeared in his eyes, but in the end he didn't say anything. If you don't cut your lord again, are you going to rescue the ghost brother? Recalling the situation from Dazzner's previous question, the young man named Bai spoke up. They succeeded in killing Darzna, the target of the mission, but they also learned about Kakashi and his party, as well as the whereabouts of the missing ghost brother. That's the clone ninja Kakashi, known as the Konoha technician. I am not necessarily his opponent, but the opponent is carrying 3 genin imps, so he should have some scruples. Let's try to catch up. If we can negotiate, we will negotiate to exchange them for the prisoners. If we can't negotiate, we will try to rescue them. Our news has leaked out. After that, regardless of success or failure, we can't stay in Poland. Without thinking about it, he finally made up his mind. He is seeking the position of Mizukage, not only requires capital, but also manpower. Although the strength of Ghost Brother is average, he is also a rare subordinate and cannot easily give up. After all, without cutting, he jumped on the branch and leapt forward. Hi, Bai replied submissively, and then stepped to keep up. Dishonor is dead. 30 kilometers away, Sasuke, who was eating grilled fish by the fire, suddenly spoke up in a forest creek belonging to the territory of the Land of Fire. Naruto calmly ate the grilled fish, not commenting on it. Compared to Sasuke, he still needs to rely on Mangekyo Sharingan's nail-headed 7-arrow book ability to confirm the life and death of that old man. Even at such a long distance, Naruto can still clearly observe the chakra breath that reaches Xena with Kagura's eyes. Not long ago, the opponent's chakra breath disappeared, and at the same time there were 2 powerful chakras moving towards him. If there is no accident, it should be no more cut and white. Only Sakura, his head full of question marks. How did you two know at such a distance? Immortal, tell me, what is going on with this mission? After eating the grilled fish, Naruto washed his hands and asked Kakashi on the side. He didn't believe that whether it was in the comics or in reality, the task that Jinchuriki, who deliberately picked himself as a strategic nuclear weapon, would be an ordinary task. There is such a coincidence. Any task can be played from C level to A level. It is estimated that those Anbus had already checked the ancestor 3rd generation of the task publisher before they performed the task. Did you not notice that the 2 Anbu teams around you are missing? Kakashi said softly. Hearing this, Naruto was thoughtful. He didn't care before, but he remembered it when he was reminded by Kakashi. After looking for it carefully, they found the disappeared Anbu within the territory of Namibia, 80 kilometers away. These Anbus were still moving at high speed, and soon disappeared beyond Naruto's perception limit. Although Naruto can only vaguely feel their breath at this moment, it is not difficult to infer some facts based on the comics and the information previously obtained from Dazna's mouth. Did these Anbu who are following me fight the so-called autumn wind of the so-called multinational businessman Kato? We were sent over to do this escort mission, just to give us a little more experience. By the way, do you find an excuse to kill Kato, to gain the favor of the people of Poland, and accept Kato's property? It's just that, now that we have given up the mission, those Anbus can only go directly to the trouble of Carduo, and will push his death cause to this group of Wuren Renren. They saw Choi and wanted to kill the employer. We Konoha hunted down such people who broke the rules of the ninja in order to kill people. Naruto said softly, but his eyes were cast on the ghost brothers who were tied to the tree after the Sharingan illusion. Not long ago, they obtained a lot of information from these 2 Wuren Renren, including the existence of No Longer and Bai and their purpose, and they did not miss it. Kakashi did not speak, and nodded affirming his thoughts. Ninja Village's funding is tight at all times. As a qualified filmmaker, he will inevitably find ways to obtain funds for the development of the village. It's not surprising even if he does something obscure for this. Naruto sneered a little at this. It's no wonder that ninjas can't be on the stage all the time. The ruler of the ninja village, the largest in the ninja world, is also in this pattern. Naturally, there is no way to become the mainstream of the world. Kakashi, Sasuke and little Sakura heard Naruto's sneer, and naturally became interested and turned their curious eyes on Naruto. Both Kakashi and Sasuke attached great importance to and paid attention to Naruto's most true thoughts, because this will determine their attitude towards certain things. Naruto, Master Hokage, can increase funds for the village without losing the reputation of the village. It should be considered a good way to deal with it. Why do you say that? Brother Sakura asked. She didn't mean anything, she was simply curious about what Naruto, an intelligent teammate, had any ideas about this matter. Just about to speak, Naruto paused, then smiled and said, "Let's talk about it later, there are 2 guests, and they will arrive soon." As soon as the voice fell, I heard the sound of breaking wind. Immediately, a flower appeared in front of the few people in Class 7, and 2 figures appeared. One of them was wearing a slim-fitting shirt, carrying a decapitating knife on his shoulder, with a bandage tied to his face, no eyebrows, and surrounded by evil spirits. The other person was wearing a high-necked gown with the mask of mist shinobi assassinating troops, standing quietly beside the former. It is no longer cut and white 2 people. This place is not far from the place where Darsna died. In addition, without Zan and Bai rushing on the road at full speed, the few people in Class 7 chatted for a while, and they followed the smell of Ghost Brothers. "Are you the famous clone ninja, Konoha technician Hatake Kakashi?" After standing still, I stopped looking around, ignoring the 3 genin little ghosts, and fixed his eyes on the white-haired Jonin's face. Don't cut his mouth to say hello to Kakashi again. From the perspective of nothing more, in the 7th class, only Kakashi, Jonin, has the status of an equal dialogue with him. The 3 genin little ghosts are not qualified to be squarely viewed by him. Follow the rivers and lakes. No, ninja convention. Then Kakashi should also speak out his name, and then the 2 sides will talk to each other in business. After negotiating to see if the matter can be resolved peacefully, if at the end there is no agreement, decide whether to start a fight or not. If he doesn't cut deep in his heart, after the mission is completed, he doesn't want to be an enemy of a master like Kakashi. If Kakashi is willing to release the ghost brother, even if he pays some ransom for it, it is perfectly fine. The few people in Class 7, except for little Sakura, didn't think so. After several years of practice, I not only solved the problem that Sharingan could not be shut down, but also re-practiced the sword technique passed down by my father. Now that I am rectifying my father's White Fang sword technique, I take this former ninja sword. One of the 7 will be my sharpening stone. Kakashi is extremely confident in his heart, and a few students don't need to worry about him. He is also a great advance in strength. Without the burden of Sharingan, his available chakra is at least 5 times more, and the strength he can display is far beyond the level of the elite Jonin. Now that there is this opportunity, it is the time to make a full shot and show off his edge. He wants to prove to the world that he is not the only one who can copy ninjutsu. He is the son of Kakashi, Hatake Kakashi, Konoha's White Fangya. Thinking of this, Kakashi didn't hesitate to pull out his back and exhausted his life savings to purchase the sharp short sword that Chakra Metals hired a master craftsman to create. Regrettably, the short sword that my father had used was damaged during the battle. And Sasuke is more energetic than Kakashi. He had already started Mangekyo Sharingan when he was less than 13 years old, except for the outstanding physical skills he trained with Naruto and Guy. He also trained the S-class lightning-style attack ninjutsu like Kirin, and he also had the nail-headed 7 Arrows book, Infinite Izanagi and Susanoo's pupil skills as the trump card. His strength is definitely cage level. Fighting against Jonin, an elite who has a reputation in the ninja world, is the time when he examines what he has learned and announces to the entire ninja world that Uchiha's glory has not been extinguished, and once again blooms in the world. After today, the entire ninja world will know that Uchiha Sasuke defeated one of the 7 ninja swords of Wu Ninja at a young age of less than 13 years old, and beheaded the big sword without cutting the peach ground. He also took a step forward and stopped Kakashi, who was about to make a move. "Mr. Kakashi, leave this person to me, and you can fight for me by the side." Naruto, who is on the side, thinks even more simply. "Stop the ink, hurry up and forget it," muttered. When Sasuke and Kakashi hadn't discussed who would take the shot, Naruto's figure was already moving. Sage mode is not turned on, nor is the Nine Tails golden body turned on, just using wind-style chakra to manipulate the airflow around the body to accelerate, a flash of body has appeared by Bai's side. Not waiting for the woman's elder brother with the ice to escape the blood limit to react, Naruto has already slipped his neck and pressed it to the ground. Click, vigorous vigor, the earth shattered. Bai spit out a mouthful of blood, and his bones were as weak as they fell apart, and he could not move while lying on the ground. In just an instant, a ninja who was not inferior to the special Jonin in combat power was solved by Naruto. But at this time, he didn't cut it before he reacted, drew the knife and slashed at Naruto. Clang! At a moment of inadmissibility, Naruto did not know when a trigeminal kunai appeared in Naruto's hand, blocking the beheading knife that would not be cut again. Then the figure was blurred for a moment, and he appeared behind the non-cutting kidney, and an elbow hit the kidney where it was not going to be cut. Wow, if you don't cut it anymore, it will become a splash of water and disappear, just a water body. Water style. Water rushing waves. Immediately, Naruto felt a stream of water rushing from his side. Following them, there were a few shurikens that were swung over. At the moment when the broadsword confronted me, I realized that it was just a false move, and then used a water body walking and hiding skill. The combat consciousness is good, but it's too slow. Naruto's figure was blurred and disappeared in place. Raising his hand, Naruto firmly grasped the neck that was never cut again. Boom! The earth broke apart, just as white as before. If he didn't cut it, he was pressed against the ground by Naruto. This time Naruto used more strength. However, because of his stronger ability to fight offenses, he was not directly shocked to death. It's just as white, and I feel sore and soft, my bones are shattered, and my combat effectiveness is temporarily lost. It took less than 5 seconds to fight. Naruto has already solved an elite Jonin with a ninja with special Jonin abilities. At this time, Kakashi hadn't discussed with Sasuke about who should do it. On the side, little Sakura's mouth grew wide and looked at Naruto incredulously, like a monster. She didn't even see the process of the battle very clearly, only to see Naruto's figure resembling a change of shape, appearing and disappearing several times. Then, I saw 2 powerful enemies who were solved as simply as cutting melons and vegetables by my own teammate. Although he knew that this teammate was very strong, little Sakura could not have imagined that he was so strong. As Hokage-sama Naruto's opponent, unexpectedly, little Sakura had such an idea that never appeared before. Shirakawa, who was brought down, didn't cut the 2 again, and the shock in his heart was even greater than that of Sakura. They are the ones who really face Naruto, and they can understand the horror of each other. This is an enemy who is not at the same level as them. They all say that the battle of the ninja is an intelligence battle, but they ask themselves, in the face of such an existence, even if they have the other party's intelligence, they have not competed against it at all. Qualifications. The gap is too big, as if it is the same difference between heaven and earth. It is really powerful and desperate. What's even more desperate is that this person with such a powerful strength seems to be only 12 or 13 years old. He is just a genin kid. Is Konoha's genin already so strong? It's terrifying. Only Kakashi and Sasuke are aware of Naruto's strength. Seeing Naruto doing it at this moment, although he was shocked at a glance, he was more upset. Finally found a well-matched opponent, planning to use it to brush up the combat experience and reputation, and in a flash, your Naruto snatched the head. It's a pity that I can't beat Naruto, so I can only hold back any dissatisfaction. At this time, Naruto turned his head, looked at the 2 people lying on the ground, and asked in a calm tone, "Then it's over now, can you tell me what you have come here to find us?" Quote. White. Quote. Don't cut it again. When the 2 lying on the ground heard Naruto's questioning, they were speechless. Why did you ask after finishing the fight? Although according to the ninja's caution, the 2 sides are not in the same position, it is understandable to do so with sufficient strength. After all, negotiating this kind of thing only exists on the 2 sides of equal status. But for them, this is too unfriendly. However, just because he is a ninja, he understands that the world is dominated by the strong. Even if I don't cut any dissatisfaction in my heart at this moment, I can only hold back. I coughed a little, and then relented a little bit and then reluctantly said, "We have no intention of being an enemy of you. This time we came here to redeem my 2 subordinates. Please forgive me for any offense." As he spoke, he stopped moving his eyes and stopped at the ghost brother who was tied to a tree not far away. Naruto nodded clearly, with a gentle smile looking at the distinguished guest. Glancing at the ghost brothers on the tree, he replied softly, "To Mist Shinobi Rebel Chunin, if no one on the black market offers a reward, then Kurigakure will reclaim their heads at the price of 2 million too." As he spoke, he glanced at Bai lying not far away, his tone unchanged, and still gentle said, "I stuck blood succession boundary ninja as a rare material, and someone will definitely buy his body for a price of at least 10 million taels. Coupled with the long and delicate eyebrows, I think some customers with special hobbies will not mind increasing the price, and the price is 15 to 20 million taels, even if it is 15 million taels." Quote. After that, Naruto's gaze rested on the face of the ghost who would not be cut, and said, "Finally, you are the famous 7 ninja swords. Your head and the beheading knife in your hand have high prices on the black market, which adds up to a total of 41 million taels. Chungwei, 60 million taels, please pay, don't kill the Lord again." Quote. At this moment, Naruto smiled very brightly and spoke with a gentle tone, but he couldn't feel any warmth from Naruto if he didn't cut it. He deliberately wanted to reject Naruto's proposal, but then he thought of the brief battle with the opponent just now. That kind of power he absolutely couldn't resist, even if he had been practicing for 20 years, he couldn't do anything about it. "If you refuse, you will die, right?" Do not cut his heart with a wry smile. Rao is that he is a fierce ghost, and facing Naruto at this moment, there is only a sense of powerlessness left in his heart. He didn't mind dying in the task, but he couldn't accept that he was trampled to death by someone like an ant like he is now. "If you don't cut your lord, please protect yourself. I'm just a tool. It's not worth your money." The white expression on the side tangled, and finally put forward his own thoughts reluctantly. After many years of missions, there is indeed a lot of money accumulated without cutting. But these money will be used by him to develop and prosper Kurigakure after the successful assassination of Mizukage in the coup d'état in the future, and he is just a tool, and it is not worth not to spend so much money. As we all know, Tsunere has a strong rebellious psychology. If Bai didn't say anything, then maybe he would consider paying the ransom for himself if he didn't cut it. And Bai's words, "just right," had a counterproductive effect, and instead of cutting it, he would directly delete the option of keeping only oneself in his mind. "Shut up, you are a tool that I have worked so hard to cultivate. How can you give up easily? You can make money if you don't have any money. After today, you will double the work for me and make this money back for me as soon as possible. Don't cut up," and propped up his body again, he yelled at him. Then, he turned his head to Naruto and said, "My lord, please let us go. We are willing to pay, but I don't have much money in my hands. Please agree on a method. I will collect enough funds to deliver the goods. Give you." Naruto didn't care either. He took out a few pens and brushes to fill in the amount and date, and then threw it in front of Nostalgia, "Sign and draw. This is an IOU with Kurigakure's rebelliousness written on it. Mist Shinobi, who was once one of the 7 shinobi rebels, will not owe Uzumaki Naruto 60 million taels of money, and the settlement will be cleared within 1 week." During the battle just now, Naruto had planted the Flying Thunder God mark on the 2 of Baihei and no more, and he was not afraid that they would run away. The same goes for the ghost brothers tied to the tree. I didn't cut it again, and finally picked up the IOU from the ground. Reading the IOU that was written long ago, in addition to the amount and date, a bad feeling suddenly appeared in my heart. As this, I prepared it a long time ago. Without cutting a glance at Naruto, his tone trembled. Yes, Naruto nodded naturally. For the official ninja with the Ninja Village organization, it is a matter of course to capture Renin and earn rewards. It can be said that there is no more legal income than this. After getting their news from the Ghost Brothers, Naruto thought that these 2 men might come to save people. This is also because he did not directly hand over these 2 trash fish to Anbu who was following around, or directly bring them back by Flying Thunder God. The reason for Konoha. It's really unreasonable to have extra money not to make money. In the future, Naruto wants to make the world run according to his own will. In addition to having absolute strength, money is also indispensable. Money and force are truths that have dominated the world since ancient times. Glancing at the complex expression of the peach ground, Naruto smiled and said, "Don't worry, Naruto, don't talk secretly. Since you paid me, then I will never go back and forth to you again. As a distinguished guest, you can also pay for my extra help when necessary in the future." Passing a bitterness, Naruto continued. Flying Thunder God, do you know? If necessary, fill it with chakra to light up the coordinates, then I can sense it and send it over. Seeing the kunai that Naruto handed over, a wry smile appeared on his face. After looking at Naruto's face and hairstyle, he finally thought of the yellow flash of 4th Hokage who was once famous in the ninja world. The boy in front of him is like a small Namikaze Minato. Is it 4th Hokage's son? I believe you. Breathing out a long sigh, there is no chance of not being cut this time. After provoking other strong men, avoiding today, you still have the confidence to avoid the other party's pursuit if you don't cut it. But if you are a practitioner of Flying Thunder God technique, you don't have the strength of the ninja god to be targeted by the opponent, so you should wash your neck early and prepare the coffin for death. In the end, after not signing the IOU, he left with his 3 subordinates, Brother Bai and Brother Gui. Just before they left, their expressions weren't very good. If Sasuke had to use one sentence to describe it, it would be the expression of their family tree ascending to heaven. This is also normal. Anyone who bleeds a lot of money and gives the savings of many years to others at once will almost always have this expression. After the group had left, Naruto sat back by the fire, picked up the previously brewed tea, and drank slowly. At this moment, Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke from Class 7 looked at Naruto in awe. This time, not only in awe of Naruto's strength, but also in awe of his wisdom. Although the previous Naruto also showed amazing business talents, he established a high-end hot spring hotel in heaven and earth, which can make tens of millions of taels of profits a year. But after all, it is a long-flowing industry, and there will be a lot of cost expenditure, which is not as intuitive and shocking as this time. In such a short period of time, I made 60 million taels of money. If you change to an ordinary Jonin team, even if you go out on missions all year round and do all high-level missions, it will take several years to make money for your employer. This money. And this is still the common property of the team, and does not belong to a single individual. At this time, they suddenly felt that it was not unreasonable for such Naruto to despise Sarutobi Hiruzen. As the saying goes, there is no harm if there is no comparison. Compared with Naruto making money so easily, Sarutobi Hiruzen is exhausted, and the behavior of doing all the dirty work is not necessarily able to make much money. It is really uncomfortable. Hi. If you were in Hokage's position, Naruto, how would you deal with things in the country of Poland? Kakashi gave Sasuke and little Sakura a brief overview of the whole story of the mission in the Namibia. Although the time spent together is not long, little Sakura has been regarded as a personal disciple by Kakashi, and she trusts her very much, and there is nothing wrong said. After the conversation, Kakashi, together with Sasuke and Sakura, stared at Naruto with scorching eyes. It depends on what effect you want to achieve, purely for money. Or purely for increasing influence. Or both. To be more kingly, then first find a Polish agent who has the ability and complete control to preside over the construction of the bridge, fight crime, develop commerce, collect tolls and taxes, and obtain funds in a long-term flow. Because it is the famous protection of the teacher, mutual benefit, and the goodwill of the people of Poland, so Shinobu can gradually get rid of the capital restraint of the daimyo to develop and grow, and because it only acts in secret, it is unlikely to attract the daimyo's reprimand and other shinobu's interference. If you want to catch fish, it's very simple. Let the ninjas be divided into 2 groups. One wave will help the civilians of the country of waves to become the righteous party, and the wave of disguise will help Kato be the villain and let them fight fake matches. In order to win, they will naturally continue to take out their savings or treasures to drive the ninjas of both sides to sell their lives, and the value created by the people of Waveland will be deprived by the ninjas of both sides in the process. The advantage is that all the savings of both parties can be drained quickly, and nothing is left. The disadvantage is that it is a non-renewable plunder, and because it is a secret trick, any accident may be exposed. But after all, it's more profitable than the direct robbery and the method of blaming others, and the food looks a little better. After all, compared to robbery, which makes people unwilling to pay and lose their lives, it is always a way to make people take the initiative to pay, and to make more money and search more thoroughly. As far as I am concerned, I still prefer the kingly way, sweeping all monsters with grandeur. Naruto drank the tea and spoke softly. After finishing the explanation, I started to explain how to carry out the actual operation with examples. Years of study and thinking have made Naruto think enough about the world and the people living in it. Kakashi's question is not a difficult question for him. But when I heard these words in the ears of Kakashi and Sasuke Sakura, there was a shocking feeling. Because, in the education they receive, there is no such kind of content, and the knowledge they have learned throughout their lives is only related to killing. After all, this is their real profession. Even with more experience, Kakashi, who is known to be quick-witted, has not been able to think outside the framework of the ninja. After a long silence, Kakashi asked, "Naruto, what do you want to do from now on?" Without waiting for Naruto to perfuse him, Kakashi continued, "It must not be traveling around, or being a simple goal like Hokage. If these are these, then you won't think about these things." On the side, Sasuke also nodded in agreement, and looked at Naruto with burning eyes. "Naruto, you said you have to go out of the ninja world before you can decide what to do in the future. We have been out here for a while, and we have seen a lot of things. Local customs, you should have some ideas now. Tell me the truest thoughts in your heart, no matter what you do, I will support you." Little Sakura spoke weakly from the side, expressing her own sense of existence, and said, "I also want to know what you are thinking about Naruto-kun. Since Sasuke-kun supports you, then I will also support you unconditionally." To this day, she still likes Sasuke, but Sasuke regards Naruto as a thigh, so she will naturally not miss it. "What are you doing?" Naruto groaned, thinking of the world he had seen more than a week after he came out. Among them, not only he saw it, but also those shadow clone, which was running in different directions, with footprints almost all over the ninja world. As he learned from books and Kakashi Jiraiya, this is a world full of ignorance, backwardness and madness. The daimyo and nobles continued to exploit and squeeze the common people, enjoying life drunkenly and dreamily. The ninjas are constantly creating death and tragedy, but they are tired of all this and want to pursue true peace. The civilians endured all this numbly, and they were squeezed again by working day after day like walking corpses. They want to change all of this, but they are like a headless fly, and their hearts are full of confusion. In this world, very few insightful people full of wisdom want to change all of this, but they suffer from lack of power, and in the end they can only be assimilated by this crazy world and drift with the flow. At this time, Naruto thought of himself again. It was unbearable to look back, full of darkness and coldness, and only a few bright childhoods. If I live in a highly civilized and highly intelligent society like another world, I think they will not be prejudiced against me, or even ignore my existence just because there is a tailed beast in my body. Although, that world is not all good, but compared to the world I live in, it is always much better. I have enough strength and rich enough knowledge, and I am still learning and progressing uninterrupted. Perhaps, I can't create a perfect world like Infinite Tsukuyomi where there is no war, no failure, only love, only peace, and only victory, but I can always make this world better. I want to unify the world, under great unification, reduce infighting, eliminate wars, and develop productivity. Only in this way can the world become better. In response to the hot eyes of the three companions, Naruto smiled. "I want world peace." Chapter 91. I want world peace. From Naruto's words, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura all felt unwavering strength and will. At this moment, they knew that Naruto was not joking. It's not like in the past, using an excuse to perfuse them at will, or even not answering this question at all. World peace, what will happen if there is peace? Little Sakura knew that she was just lucky to live in Konoha Shinobi Village, the strongest ninja, but the whole world is still in conflict and war. Hearing the words at this moment, the instinctive vision for peace appeared in my heart. It's just that she is still young and has little experience, and she can't imagine what kind of world peace it is like. As for Sasuke, he has a bloody vengeance. What I think about the most all day is how to kill Uchiha Itachi and the masked man to avenge his lost parents. The term peace is too far away for him. It is better to say that what he wants to do is contrary to the peace that eliminates the struggle. Hearing Naruto talk about it at this moment, he couldn't help but fall into thinking. What exactly is peace? Of the three people present, only Kakashi fell into a melancholy mood after hearing the word peace. When he was born, it was the war years. His father died because of an unfavorable mission during the war. He himself was deeply involved in the war. He experienced killings and the death of his best friends. His teammate Lin, Obito, his teacher Namikaze Minato, and his wife Uzumaki Kushina all died because of the war and the darkness of this world. Deep down, Kakashi is also looking forward to peace. It's just that he doesn't know how to do it. At this moment, looking at Naruto who was smiling and telling them that I want world peace, Kakashi felt as if he saw a rising sun, glowing with warm light around him. World peace, how can it be achieved? Uncontrollably, Kakashi asked this question to Naruto, who was a dozen years younger than him and was his student. He hoped that he could get a feasible answer from Naruto. The confused little Sakura and Sasuke, who couldn't think of the answer, also looked at Naruto at this moment, hoping that he could dispel the confusion in their hearts. Faced with 3 pairs of confused eyes, Naruto did not waver at all. He didn't have a fierce incitement, nor was he serious, he just spoke quietly in a calm tone with absolute confidence. If you want world peace, you must first eliminate wars and build a world without disputes. Only by eliminating disputes can people break free from the precarious life, can produce with peace of mind, and can apply more creativity in commerce, scientific research, writing, education, and exploring the world. At that time, no one in this world will die young because of unnecessary disputes, and no one will starve to death because they don't have enough food. They can live freely under this sky. In this kind of society, every young child will get a good education, the elderly will be raised, the population will grow explosively, and our civilization will continue to progress. We will thoroughly understand all the unknowns on the ground and keep our footprints towards the boundless sea of stars. The old are dependent, the young are supported, the world is in harmony, and we will continue to move forward. This is my understanding of peace. This is in another world and has experienced a historical process that has been proven by facts. It was a prosperous world with a population of more than 7 billion. Despite many imperfections, it was still developing vigorously. Compared with today's ninja world, it is more than 10 times stronger just in terms of population. This is an essential manifestation of the productivity gap. Because of his firm belief, Naruto's words contain unquestionable absolute confidence. Following Naruto's words, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura unconsciously began to construct that picture. Although they had never experienced such a prosperous world, they couldn't concretely imagine what it was like. But just drawing an outline based on this phrase of Naruto, I have already felt the boundless beauty and yearning. Compared with the current ninja world, such a world is simply heaven. So, how can we eliminate the dispute and achieve such a peace? Naruto emphasized the problem again. The reality of the problem brought the Kakashi trio to come back from the beauty of their imagination. Then, they heard Naruto continue. If you want to eliminate the dispute, you need to find the root of the problem. Based on my observations and research over the years, I found that the root causes of the war in this world are the ninjas and those of us Daming and nobles. Hearing Naruto say this, the Kakashi trio, who are ninjas and have enough sense of identity for this identity, subconsciously want to refute. But then he held back. After thinking about it, I had to admit that it seemed to be true. In this world, ordinary people have no ability to influence the development of the world. Neither ability nor wisdom is allowed. They are just tools for the superiors to exploit and squeeze. The purpose of living is to create value for the enjoyment of those at the top. Only those ninjas whose masters possess power and knowledge, and famous nobles have the qualifications to influence the progress of the world. The existence of ninjas has appeared as a fighting tool from the beginning. They take on tasks, earn money, protect or destroy targets, practice killing skills, and have never engaged in production. The positioning of the ninja in the Sengoku era was only a pure tool, and even a war would have very limited impact on the world. But with the establishment of the ninja village, the number and strength of the ninjas are increasing exponentially. They gradually have the power to influence the world situation. Once a war breaks out, they will destroy the city and the country. The ninjas are constantly fighting in order to share the mission, for more powerful secret techniques, and to consume the surplus number of ninjas. But the daimyo and the nobles, for their own interests, either fight for hegemony, or want to plunder the enemy's country and push behind them. All of these have contributed to the intensity of the war that has been getting bigger and bigger every year since the establishment of the ninja village 60 years ago. The ninjas may not want to fight, but the real ninja living environment will not allow them to stop, and the nobles and daimyos who are enjoying the dividends of the war will not allow them to stop. The daimyo and the nobles are pushing the war behind their backs for their own power and interests, because they can't beat them. No matter how many ninjas and civilians below die, they have nothing to do with them. Ninjas have gone through wars and are tired of killings and sacrifices. They also have no way to stop, because they don't have other livelihood skills. They need missions to obtain funds to live on. This is also the reason why first Hokage Senju Hashirama has the invincible strength in the world, but there is no way to unify the ninja world and eliminate the dark profession of ninja. He wants peace, but the limitations of being a ninja don't know how the ninjas should live after peace. Ninjas are creating all the tragedies in this world, but they are yearning for peace. They want to end this dark and hopeless life, but they don't know how to change it. At this moment, as Naruto said, even if he tried to keep calm, his tone became agitated. Naruto, Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke, whose expressions became unconsciously grim and excited, all had a heartfelt shock in their hearts. They vaguely felt that next Naruto would say something that even they felt shocked the world. So, this world needs to change, not just the current dark status quo, but also the hearts of all people. Let them experience the pain of war, be afraid of war, dislike war from the bottom of their hearts, and want peace from the bottom of their hearts. In this way, the world can truly be peaceful. Even if there are ambitious and militants who want to make peace in this world and start wars again, this world will not have their living soil. In this way, peace can last for a long time. So, Naruto couldn't help groaning when he said this. The next words, even if he wants to say it, require full courage. That is a trend of thought that can subvert the world. What the hell are you trying to say, Naruto? It was the first time that Sasuke listened to Naruto telling him the truest thoughts in his heart, or the pursuit of world peace, a great goal that would be enough to fight for a lifetime, and he couldn't help feeling that there was a wave of blood surging in his heart. Can't help but ask Naruto, the words he never said. I'm not a ninja anymore, Sasuke. At this moment, Naruto finally made up his mind to meet the gazes of the three companions and spit out these shocking words. A ninja said he would no longer be a ninja. Row is that the three of Kakashi have done some psychological construction, and they are also shocked. This is a betrayal of one's own identity and position. At this time, after Naruto broke through the obstacle in his heart, his thoughts became smoother and smoother. He met three pairs of horrified and inexplicable eyes and continued to speak. Yes, I won't be a ninja anymore. There is no need for a ninja in this world in the future. People who are unwilling to fight, but have chakra talent, can use them in production and life after learning the use of chakra and ninjutsu, and they can also be used for research on chakra tools. Civilization needs to develop, and chakra, a convenient tool, is bound to come in handy. And those who have the talent of chakra, and yearn for fighting, killing, and eager to become stronger in the process, can become full-time soldiers, who only exist for maintaining peace and order, and don't have to waste time in their lives. Middle. They fought for justice and are no longer dark ninjas. In this way, even if there are more people in this world who know how to use chakra, there is no need to go through the ninja wars one after another to reduce the number of ninjas. In this way, even the current ninjas can embark on the right path of pursuing peace. Listening to Naruto's account, the Kakashi trio went from horror to thinking. After a long time, they had to admit that although Naruto's idea was deviant, it was a complete denial of their ninja career. However, this is the only way for ninjas who are in the dark but yearning for peace. Naruto watched the expressions of the three of them. Seeing them from horror to thinking, to knowing and yearning, they knew that they had truly accepted their ideas. He didn't need to. The first time he told the people around him his true thoughts, he erased their memories. After they fully recovered, Naruto continued to talk about his thoughts. So, if you want to truly achieve world peace, you must destroy the old forces represented by the daimyo nobles and the shinobu system. Then form a new government according to our ideas to guide the people of this world towards true peace. In this process, we will face resistance and counterattacks from the entire world. There will be bloodshed and sacrifices, and even at this moment, I don't know whether we can truly succeed in the end. Perhaps, we will fall on the road of pursuing peace, or after we have achieved the peace we want, the undercurrents hidden under the world will counterattack, turning the entire ninja world into the ignorant and crazy appearance it is now. Quote, we will be the enemy of the whole world. However, I will not give up, I will always strive towards this goal. Now, I sincerely invite you, Kakashi, Sasuke and little Sakura, you guys come and help me. Are you willing? Finally, Naruto sent out an invitation to several of his relatives and friends in a sincere tone. To make the world truly lead to peace, you must not only have the absolute power to carry out your own will, but also have like-minded friends. Only when you have enough friends to support you and drive more people in the world to support yourself together, can you make this peace acceptable to everyone and continue in the end. I said that no matter what you want to do, Naruto, I will support you without hesitation. Even if this is the case now, be an enemy of the world. Ha ha ha, it's better to say that, it's more challenging. Facing Naruto's sincere gaze, Jonin couldn't help showing an excited smile on Sasuke's face. His eyes unconsciously changed to Mangekyo Sharingan's look, and his eyes were full of eager agitation. Brother Sakura on the side, seeing Sasuke's unhesitating support and no hesitation, waved his fist and spoke firmly. Naruto, although my pursuit of world peace is not so profound and eager, I am also willing to support you. I will continue to work hard to become stronger and strive to grow up as soon as possible to help you and Sasuke-kun complete this ideal. To the point. Aside, Kakashi saw the three excited little ones, showing helplessness on his face. Peace, although it is difficult, it is really feasible. He is a mature adult, and it is impossible for him to make a hasty decision just because of his enthusiasm for a while. However, the more I thought about Naruto's hopeful words, contrasting the powerful strength he has already achieved at a young age, and contrasting the darkness in Konoha, Kakashi couldn't help but begin to incline to join Naruto. Naruto, who has strong strength and is constantly practicing and learning, is not a child who is venting his second illness, he really has the power to carry out his will. Facing the three little eyes looking at him, Kakashi smiled sharply. I'm an enemy of the world, teacher, I'm a little scared, but I can't be compared to you young people, I will join you too. I also want to see what world peace is like. Kakashi also agreed to Naruto's invitation, letting Naruto breathe a sigh of relief. Sasuke is a close friend who has met since childhood. Kakashi is also an elder who has taken care of him for many years, and although the relationship between young Sakura is not too close, he is also a classmate who has studied in a class since childhood, and is also an avid suitor of Sasuke. These are all people who know the bottom line. If even the people closest to him do not agree with his ideas and refuse to face his invitation, then Naruto has failed in these years. At this time, Sasuke hit the railroad while it was hot. Since we have established the goal of working for world peace, we must establish a huge organization in the future. Let's choose a name for this organization now. On the side, young Sakura and Kakashi are also very interested. If an organization is established, then we are all veterans. Together, they turned their eyes to Naruto. Although it is not stated explicitly, Naruto will undoubtedly be the absolute core of this organization in the future, not only force, but also the core of wisdom, and a vein leading the entire organization forward. And if you want to unite more people to fight for the same goal, it is still very important to have a resounding organization name. This is something that cannot be careless. Since we are 4 people here, we have decided to establish an organization working hard for world peace, so the name of the organization can be called the 4-Person Council for the Implementation of Love and Peace, which is simple and intuitive. Naruto whispered to himself, and after a little thought, he nodded convinced. Question mark. Hearing that, Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke all looked at Naruto with question marks. Brother, are you serious? Sasuke wanted to ask. At this time, Kakashi couldn't help but think of his teacher named Namikaze Minato. Worthy of being a father and son, this naming style is exactly the same. If he were here, he would definitely praise Naruto crazy. Let's change another one. Kakashi wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said in embarrassment. Little Sakura and Sasuke nodded in agreement. It's a name that I came up with after thinking about it for a long time. It's too shameless, Naruto muttered. In fact, he really thinks the name is appropriate, although it is a second grade. The Kakashi trio decisively ignored Naruto's complaint, and since they couldn't figure it out, they put it aside for now. Even if the organization has no name, it is called the Naruto Group, which is better than the 4-member council that implements love and peace. So, Naruto, what are we going to do next? Is it to collect enough funds for the development of the organization, or go to the ninja world to collect intelligence and find available talents? Or directly find a target to kill chickens and monkeys, and announce the establishment of our organization to the world? After a while, Sasuke spoke happily again. By now, his strength has been extremely strong. Even if he is ready to destroy a country by himself, it is not a delusion. Kakashi is also a little eager to try. As an elite jonin from Anbu, he has been working with children in recent years, although this job is not boring in his opinion. But inevitably, occasionally I want to do something challenging. If it was the former Kakashi, mentally numb, completing one task after another like a machine, naturally he would not feel any passion. But now it's different. He has a new goal worth striving for. Little Sakura also stared at Naruto with scorching eyes. Although she was not strong, she still wanted to contribute her own strength to the development of the organization when the organization was first established. Faced with the eyes of the three, Naruto was speechless this time. I haven't learned how to walk, so I was thinking about running. The existence of intelligent creatures is easy to swell, just like the vixen in his stomach that just regained his full strength a few days ago. Naruto's frosty gaze was on Sasuke. I'm finished with high mathematics. Just thinking about messing up. There is a sentence that I don't know whether to say it or not. At this time, Sasuke thought of the many esoteric books he had to learn in order to practice the electromagnetic cannon technique. Up to now, he has only learned the beginning. Then, it was Kakashi. And you, Mrs. Kakashi, your seal art research is done. The problem of insufficient chakra is solved. Is there 1% of the chakra you can use now? At this moment, Kakashi looked at Naruto with a look of contempt, and wanted to refute loudly, how amazing you chakra. But it is estimated that Naruto will say, sorry, chakra is really amazing. Therefore, they did not take their own humiliation. In the end, Naruto's eyes were set on little Sakura, and he didn't say much. Just shook his head and sighed. Suddenly, little Sakura's cheeks were flushed. She was indeed just a genin who had just graduated. Even if you want to help, you have to grow up for a few years at least. In the end, Naruto concluded, a grand goal is an end that requires long-term hard work. We are still in the first stage of the goal. In the first stage of this goal, what we need to do is to continuously enrich our knowledge and strengthen our combat power. In this way, when we enter the second stage of the goal, we will have enough strength to push the plan forward, toward the third stage of the goal, and even approach the end step by step. Upon hearing this, the three were thoughtful. Facing a grand goal, if anyone says that he can accomplish it overnight, he is undoubtedly dreaming. Only by completing the small goals under this big goal can we get the final victory. At this time, Naruto looked at little Sakura. For this long hair, most of her thoughts are thinking about how to win Sasuke's favor. The beautiful girl said coldly, little Sakura, get ready. When you return to the village, you will accept the training plan I made for you. The difficulty is hell level. I hope you can stick to it. If you can't. Naruto didn't say the second half, but Sakura knew it for himself. If she can't even complete the self-improvement training plan, then not only will she not be qualified to participate in this organization and accomplish that ambitious goal, she will not even have the qualification to stand beside Sasuke. This is something that young Sakura has understood from a long time ago, so Naruto will not be shocked by Naruto at this moment. She shook her fist and said confidently, I will definitely complete the training plan you made, and I will become strong enough. As I said, I will definitely reach the level of help. Whether it is for the peace in her heart, or for Sasuke, she will not give up. 3 days later, the four in class 7 ate and drank all the way, and returned to Konoha village leisurely. Kakashi went to the Hokage building to hand over the mission. Their first sea-level mission was declared a failure. Because it was a special situation, it was not included in the ninja file. And this is the last leisure time of the 7th class. The village became busy visible to the naked eye. About 2 months later, it was time for the Chunin exam. Because it is a joint Chunin exam, many famous names and nobles will come to watch, so the village has been busy preparing for it from now on. However, this Chunin exam has nothing to do with the 7th class. Naruto and Sasuke are not interested in going to the Chunin exam to play games with children. Little Sakura doesn't have that strength. On the second day of returning to Konoha, Naruto issued a long-term guard mission to the 7th class in the name of the Heaven on Earth Hot Spring Hotel, isolating the regular task assignments from the task release hall. After that, the entire 7th class entered into a focused and busy practice. When Sasuke conducts daily physical intensive training, he is also assiduously studying the hundreds of books to be applied to the electromagnetic gun technique. And Kakashi, while practicing the ninjutsu of Hatake swordsmanship, is also learning ninjutsu in depth. In addition, he will also give little Sakura a class of Jonin skills to teach her some applications of illusion and sealing. 100 healings mark is indeed an excellent technique for ordinary people to increase the upper limit of chakra. Even for people like Naruto and Sasuke who are born with a huge chakra, it is extremely useful. But they have too many things to learn now, and they don't have the mind to focus on it for the time being. In the recent period, in addition to daily physical strengthening training, Naruto is also continuously researching and developing the sealing technique for Black Zetsu. Some of the remaining work is to develop a Hell-level strength enhancement plan for the little Sakura. According to the plan of the young Sakura in the comics, Naruto positioned her as a battle nurse. In addition, it also takes into account the responsibilities of remote support using illusion and ninjutsu. Although Naruto basically doesn't need such an ability as a nanny, he can work part-time as a nanny by himself. If the young Sakura wants to heal his wounds after his medical ninjutsu is mastered, it will be easy for him to heal him, otherwise the wound will heal itself in 10 minutes. But in the future, the organization has grown, and the role of a nurse like Sakura is also indispensable. Little Sakura's practice is first of all the improvement of chakra. She is short in this aspect, so Naruto arranged for her an intensive physical training course that was more than 10 times more intense than before. Although it has not yet reached the level of practicing as long as it is not dead, it is also a life-threatening level of physical training. As long as the little Sakura can persist, it will slowly transition to the same strength as Naruto and Sasuke in the future. Only when the body is stronger and the will strengthened can the body produce more chakra. Kurama provides logistical supplies, but it won't cause problems. In addition, it is the practice of medical ninjutsu. Little Sakura is still in the basic stage, so he is not in a hurry, but after a period of in-depth practice, he needs a professional teacher. Previously, Kakashi wanted to ask an acquaintance at Konoha Hospital, but now that Sakura has joined his camp, Naruto directly asked Jiraiya to find Tsunade's whereabouts. His own shadow clone is also helping to find people all over the world. As long as I find it, I will take her to apprenticeship. With the face of Jiraiya and myself, coupled with the good talent of Sakura, Tsunade will definitely not refuse. If this continues, a few years later, Sakura will definitely have a strength comparable to Cage level. As for whether it can be stronger, it depends on the follow-up development. Such strength can't control the situation in Naruto's future plans, but it is also a force that cannot be ignored. Of course, the number of strong people in one's own camp is, of course, the better. Little Sakura's determination was not fake. Although the training plan arranged by Naruto was tortured to death, he had to accept Kakashi's seal and ninjutsu guidance, but he persisted. Although I sometimes complained to Sasuke and acted like a baby, Sakura never said to give up. This made Naruto a little bit mumbled. Is the power of love really that great? Although in the books Naruto has read, there is no shortage of unconscious, deep love, and beautiful love that has been entangled for thousands of years, but in reality he has seen similar examples for the first time. Or is it still a Hinata? Suddenly, the face of the Byakugan girl appeared in Naruto's mind. In the comics, the weak girl is strong and confident in reality. In contrast, I think about the influence I brought to her. Naruto in the manga likes her kindness, so she remains kind and weak, but still retains a strong side, and can stand up when Naruto faces danger. In reality, I hope she can be strong and possess the strength beyond ordinary people. She tried hard to practice, put away her external weakness, and became what I thought of it. The current Hinata is also a qualified heir to the Hyuga family, and is no longer the crying and weak eldest lady who was bullied by 3 bear children. Really a girl who can't be rejected. Thinking of this, Naruto couldn't help but mutter to himself. Hey, are you Uzumaki Naruto? At the end of the evening, After practicing, Naruto, a flying thunder god, arrived at the door of the Heaven on Earth Hot Spring Hotel. Naruto, who was just getting ready to take a bath, ate a meal, and went home to sleep, was stopped by an immature female voice. Naruto turned his gaze over, and saw a petite girl with black hair and white eyes with a bun face, looking at him with unkind eyes. And beside the little girl, there was another man with black hair, white eyes and Konoha forehead protector, who also looked at Naruto with an unfriendly look. Well, it's me. Are you Hanabi? Naruto thought a little, then thought of the little girl's identity, and asked tentatively. A Byakugan girl who didn't fight Caged Bird, except for Hinata, there was only her sister Hanabi. Huh, it doesn't look very good, how could my sister like you so much? Hanabi whispered, she likes playing with her sister the most. It's just that every time she is with her sister, the name Uzumaki Naruto is the one she says the most. Hanabi had never seen Naruto before. At this moment, it was a rare opportunity for Hanabi to come out with his brother Neji. They were on vacation in their own property, but they happened to meet Naruto. Hanabi's muttering, Naruto heard it. Neji, who was standing next to her, naturally heard it too. Then, Naruto observed that the unkind look of the eldest uncle added a little bit of unpleasantness. Have you changed your job to become a sister? Naruto muttered in his heart. Although it is the first time that Naruto has faced Neji like this, Hinata has told him many times about this brother. In school, I occasionally see this elder brother. Neji's experience is generally the same as in the comics. He lost his father when he was young and was marked as Caged Bird. Although he has a strong talent for spiritual practice, he has always been full of resentment towards the family and the village. In the manga, Hinata has a weak temperament and has no ability to afford the clan at all. This also made Neji feel that his father was sacrificed in vain and felt unworthy for him, so he hated Hinata, who was the eldest of the clan family. It wasn't until he was stunned by Naruto in the comics, and he learned his father's true thoughts, that the hostility in his heart was eliminated. In reality, although Neji still hates the clan and the village, because of Hinata's outstanding performance, he no longer thinks that his father's sacrifice is not worthwhile. Coupled with Hinata's goodwill and often practiced against him, he also retained the close sibling relationship with Hinata when he was a child, and even became very caring for the little sister of Hanabi. At this moment, Neji doesn't want to protect the clan, he just wants to protect his sister. Now, facing Naruto, the fool who abducted his sister, Neji, as the older brother, was naturally unhappy. Of course, it's just unhappy. In the first 2 years, the story of Naruto's muscle show spread throughout the village and Jonin circles. Although the younger generations of them have not seen that scene, they have been warned by their elders not to provoke Naruto if there is nothing to do. Naruto didn't care about his uncle's upset, and smiled invitingly, Hanabi, Neji, do you have dinner together? I'll treat you. After a pause, fearing that the two would refuse, he added, I'll call Hinata. My sister is cultivating with my father, but she didn't have time to come out to eat, but I promised you, Hanabi's eyes rolled, and Naruto moved Hinata out. Naturally, she couldn't refuse. Quickly, wait a minute. After Naruto's words, a flying thunder god arrived outside the Hyuga mansion. When the guard saw Naruto, he didn't need to say anything, he went to the mansion to report immediately. At this moment, Hinata is practicing Tai Chi, which he learned from Naruto, against his father. Under Naruto's generous teaching, the Hyuga family has recently acquired a lot of new physique ideas, and they are thinking about perfecting them and integrating them into their gentle fist. Hearing that Naruto was waiting outside, facing the complicated eyes of the old father, he bowed back without hesitation and hurried to change his clothes. It seems that the training of Hanabi recently has to be put on the agenda. Watching Hinata's back disappear, Hyuga Hiyashi frowned and whispered. This eldest daughter has a strong talent for practice, and Byakugan's pupils are also strong, but she is focused on the fool named Naruto. As the son of the other party's 4th generation, it's a good match, but if Hinata gets married, he won't be able to inherit the Hyuga clan. It is also unrealistic to let Naruto, Jinchuriki, become a parent. At least 3rd generation would not agree. It is even more unrealistic to refuse this marriage. Hiyashi can guarantee that the kid who dared to show his muscles in front of 3rd generation lawlessly will probably demolish his Hyuga house. What's more, this son-in-law is also quite good. Thinking of the huge and stable income brought by Shangrenjian Hot Spring Hotel that day, Hiyashi couldn't help but laugh from ear to ear. In the beginning, the income of this hot spring hotel was only enough for Hinata to eat and drink, but as time passed, the hotel's reputation continued to increase, and the income it brought was also increasing. In this way, Hiyashi can only retrain the trumpet Hanabi. Fortunately, Hiyashi is not too old, he is more than 30 years old, and has enough time to wait for Hanabi to grow up and become a qualified heir to the clan. It is not impossible even if he is giving birth to a child. Outside the Hyuga mansion, Naruto waited no more than 20 minutes. Seeing that Hinata had just taken a shower and put on a dress, Hinata hurried out. I met your sisters Hanabi and Neji at the Hot Spring Hotel, so I invited them to dinner together. Naruto briefly explained. Hinata nodded shyly, then grabbed Naruto's hand and was taken to the door of the Hot Spring Hotel by a flying thunder god. At this time, Naruto saw a young man dressed as a wealthy businessman with a gentle look and wearing round glasses, talking to Hanabi and Neji sitting on the sofa in the corner of the hotel lobby. It can be judged from the shape of his mouth that he is close to the two of them. Looking at his words, it should be that they want to introduce some business cooperation with Hyuga's family after they are familiar with each other. This young wealthy businessman has a very high level of speaking skills, and within this short time Naruto left, he has achieved the goodwill of Hanabi and Neji. The two sides talked and laughed, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. Yakushi Kabuto, Naruto muttered in his heart. No one else knew this person, but Naruto recognized him from his huge chakra and temperament. Come inquire about me, or just Sasuke's information. By all accounts, it's almost time for Konoha's collapse plan. Orochimaru was defeated by Itachi not long ago, and now I am desperate to get Sasuke's body. After ventilating with Danzo, I learned that Sasuke often stays here now, so I came over and stepped on it. Is it convenient for Orochimaru to start after a while? You should pray that the Hyuga people here will not open Byakugan casually, so as not to cause misunderstandings among guests, otherwise they should be exposed as soon as they arrive. Thinking of this, Naruto rolled his eyes. Let Hinata go over and meet Hanabi Neji. Naruto did not rush over, but found a Hyuga escort hidden in the dark, and asked, how long has the guest stayed in the Hot Spring Hotel? Just checked in 2 hours ago. The guard hiding in the dark heard the sudden sound in his ear, and was startled at first, and when he saw that it was Naruto, he relaxed again and replied. Naruto heard the words and nodded and said, their fees are all super doubled. You can tell the accountant, and say that I said it. If the other party has any questions about the bill, just find an excuse to perfuse. The Hyuga guard was stunned for a moment and looked at Naruto for unknown reasons, not understanding why he wanted to target this guest. However, I didn't ask too much, and I went to inform as soon as my body shape flashed. After the order was over, Naruto walked towards the corner where Hinata and the others were, as if they were okay. Seeing Naruto coming over, Yakushi Kabuto, a wealthy businessman pretending to be a rich businessman, asked along the way, this little brother is. Uzumaki Naruto is also one of the shareholders of this store. Guests are welcome to check in. If you have any instructions, please feel free to ask the waiter. Naruto smiled and introduced himself. After speaking, they greeted Hanabi to leave. There's still something to go with. Nodding to Yakushi Kabuto, Naruto left with Hinata Hanabi and Neji. Watching Naruto leave, Yakushi Kabuto's eyes flickered slightly. Well, the start was still very smooth. The first time I lived in, I met one of the target characters. I think it won't take long to complete the task completely. Thinking about this, Yakushi Kabuto also found a waiter to take him to the hot spring for dinner. On the other side, Naruto, who was eating with Hinata, had his mouth cracking. Neji asked curiously, what are you laughing at? That guy just now was a spy, and I doubled his bill, so do you understand? Naruto said with joy. Hearing what Naruto said, Neji instantly thought why he couldn't stop laughing. Since it is a spy who inquires about intelligence, no matter how expensive the charges here are, it is impossible to leave, and can only be slaughtered obediently. Anyway, this kind of spy doesn't have the possibility of returning customers, so it is naturally slaughtered. Moreover, the dumb still eats Coptus, there is a bitterness that can't be said. If the opposite party is unwilling to be slaughtered, it is better to call Anbu directly, and you can take it to drink tea soon. The 4 people eating here are all vested interests of this hotel, so naturally they have no opinion on this. You are so bad. Tong Yan Wuji's child Hanabi smiled and said what he felt. Hinata and Neji couldn't help but chuckle. For a while, the private room was filled with cheerful air. The next day, when Yakushi Kabuto got the bill handed to him by the hotel director. Seeing that long string of zeros, my mentality almost collapsed. 100,000 taels a day. Even high-end hotels don't make sense to charge this way, right? Yakushi Kabuto demanded. He had read the approximate price list before entering this hot spring hotel. Even if he maintains high-end consumption that matches the identity of a wealthy businessman, he will only spend 30 to 4,000 taels at the end of the day, which is still within an acceptable range. As a result, now, a super double for him. Although the food and meticulous service here are really attractive, it still makes Yakushi Kabuto feel the pain. The hotel manager smiled and said unmovedly, "Dear guests, our hotel's consumption is clearly marked. This is the consumption details. Please check it out." While speaking, he took a bill and presented it in front of Yakushi Kabuto. Each of the above consumption items is clearly written, and the last service fee is the bulk of the consumption. Recently, as the Chunin exam is approaching, many dignitaries are competing for reservations to stay in this hotel, so we temporarily increased part of the catering and service fees. Please forgive me. See Yakushi Kabuto's eyes betting on the service fee column, the hotel director explained in due course. Yakushi Kabuto narrowed his eyes, and murderous intent bloomed in his heart. However, after looking at the 2 white-eyed jonin wearing green vests next to the hotel director, he thought of his task of investigating Sasuke's intelligence, and finally decided to endure it. The wealthy businessmen cannot collapse. I want to live for 2 months. Yakushi Kabuto snorted coldly, took out a cash box full of banknotes, and threw it in front of the hotel director, acting extremely swiftly, as if he didn't care about this little money. The question just now was just that I didn't want to be deceived. Wait until the day the plan is executed, all will be doubled back to me, it's black shop. Yakushi Kabuto is proud on his face, but he seems to be dripping blood in his heart. This money was not only the funds Orochimaru gave him for his activities, but also his own savings for many years, and it was gone all at once. Again, the wealthy businessmen cannot collapse. It is worth it to collect enough information to help Master Orochimaru get the container he wants. I just hope that by then, Lord Orochimaru can reimburse all my current expenses, otherwise I will lose a lot. The manager in charge took the money, with a humble smile on his face, and served Yakushi Kabuto with top-quality tea. On the other side, Naruto, Neji and Hinata Hanabi, who watched this scene through the Shui Jing technique, were all happy and crazy. Especially at the moment of Yakushi Kabuto, from killing intent, distressed to pretending to be heroic, it was full of food, which made the appetites of the few people who were eating breakfast involuntarily. Brother Naruto, are you really not afraid that he will violently kill people? Hanabi hugged his sister and laughed, and it took a while for the ninja to smile, poked his head from Hinata's neck and asked Naruto. Hanabi got close to Naruto after spending the night together. From the beginning, the words were stabbed, and now he is called Naruto brother. Among them, in addition to Naruto's interesting conversation, Hanabi can understand his profound reasons. The scene of Yakushi Kabuto being played by Naruto round and round, fully reflects the difference in IQ between the two sides, and it is also a huge bonus item. On the side, Neji looked at Naruto with admiration. Now, he finally understands why Uncle Hiyashi, who has always been stern, has nothing to do with this boy named Naruto. This means of making money has surpassed many adults. The bigger his picture is, the less likely it is to turn his face. Do you think he just paid for it? 10 million taels, a lot of money. Naruto replied with a smile. These words immediately made a few people overwhelmed with joy. However, no amount of jokes can last long. In the end, Hanabi, Hinata and Neji returned to Hyuga's house under the protection of the guards. They also have their own daily spiritual learning tasks to do, and Naruto does the same. As for the spy Yakushi Kabuto, it was easy to handle. Asking 3 Hyuga Jonin to stare at him, with Byakugan locked in his chakra, he can't do anything he wants to do. During the practice, time passed quickly. One day 5 weeks later, night fell, but Naruto did not stay in the village for a long time. Leaving a shadow clone to sleep at home, Naruto, a flying thunder god, crossed an extremely long distance and came to the border of the country of Sichuan that was buffered by the border of the country of wind and the country of fire. Here is a wilderness. There was a bonfire not far from where Naruto flying thunder god fell. Two figures were sleeping beside the campfire wrapped in sleeping bags, while the other figure with a gourd on his back and the word love written on his forehead stared at the fire in a daze. I didn't sleep at night, and my eyes were dark like a panda. The boy with no eyebrows and the word love written on his forehead traveled through the entire ninja world. Except for Jinchuriki Gaara of One-Tail Shozuru in San Shinobi Village, naturally there will be no one else. More than a month ago, Naruto took back Kurama's half-body and used the powerful complete body Nine-Tails gold body buff to hold his panel attributes to the limit of the current stage, and then began the next step. It is also the chakra that collects the remaining tail beasts, and uses Kurama as a base to synthesize a small 10 tails in his body. Wait until the tail beast chakra has been collected to synthesize a stronger buff than the 9 tails gold body, plus the improvement obtained during this period of practice and training. At that time, Naruto's comprehensive strength will rise to a higher level on the current basis, completely surpassing the level of ordinary ninjas. Recently, Naruto specializes in sealing techniques and conducts physical strengthening training. He has separated out Shadow Clone and wandered around the world, looking for the whereabouts of various Jinchuriki and tail beasts, while also checking in some special spots. As time passed, Naruto's flying thunder god mark gradually spread throughout the ninja world. As one-tail Jinchuriki, Gaara's whereabouts are relatively easy to determine, and you can find it in Sunagaku. However, Naruto not only wants to get Chakra, the tail beast of Morizuru, but also wants to have some conversations with Gaara by the way. Even with the current strength of Naruto, it is impossible to do it without disturbing others. Recently, Konoha's collapse plan is about to start. Orochimaru and San Shinobi Village's 4th Kazekage, Gaara's father, met to attack Konoha village together. Gaara, who is a tail beast weapon, also left Sunagaku in the name of taking the Chunin exam and went to Konoha. At that time, Konoha's collapse plan begins, and Gaara will use the fake sleeping technique to complete the tail beastization, releasing the show crane to wreak havoc in Konoha. At this moment, Gaara is on the way to Konoha. The two sleeping in the sleeping bags next to Gaara are Gaara's older sister, Grandmaster Wind-Style Ninjutsu, Temari, who possesses Chunin's strength, and Grandmaster Puppetry, his older brother Kankuro, who also possesses Chunin's strength. In addition to the three on the surface, there is also Jonin Baki, who is the leader of Gaara and is also responsible for monitoring and protecting him, hiding in the dark, guarding against possible enemies. The shadow clone following Gaara provides Naruto with precise coordinates that will not be discovered as soon as it appears. At this moment, the place where Naruto Flying Thunder God will appear afterwards is not far from the Gaara and Baki trio. Before going out, I deliberately wore a black wig, and put on a black plush coat cause Namikaze Naruto. Taking advantage of resuming the chakra consumed by the long-distance Flying Thunder God, I took out a fox face mask and put it on in these few seconds. Live together, Naruto whispered to himself, and then an instant appeared behind Baki. The sound of breaking the wind caused the Jonin, who is not weak, to perceive the danger. He subconsciously pulled out a detonating talisman tied to his tail and threw it in the direction of the sound. The imaginary explosion didn't appear. Baki looked intently, and found that someone raised his right hand and took the kunai he had just thrown in his hand. And the detonating talisman that had been ignited, at this moment, was also like a misfire, and it was held in his hand to play. In the next instant, Baki saw that the fox-faced man had appeared in front of him instantly, the bitterness in his hand was pierced into his abdomen, and the detonation talisman began to burn again. It wasn't until this time that Baki realized that he wanted to fight back. However, the fox-faced man ignored him, and disappeared in front of Baki. It's like stepping on an ant's foot casually, and doesn't care about its life or death, and there is no idea of making up the knife. Boom! The explosion of the detonation talisman awakened Temari and Kankuro who were sleeping, and Gaara who was in a daze. They subconsciously cast their gazes in the direction of the explosion, and saw a black-haired black-clothed mysterious person with a fox face appearing in front of them. As soon as this fox-faced man appeared, the air was covered with a strong murderous intent, which made several people in it feel chills. Fortunately, you are a qualified Jonin. Perceiving it, Baki decisively pulled Kuwu out of his belly and threw it out at that critical moment. Although he suffered a serious injury and temporarily lost his combat power, he was also saved from the fate of being torn apart by the detonation talisman. Naruto had calculated all this, but he had no intention of killing anyone. Gaara saw the sudden appearance of Naruto, and was not afraid. Instead, a bloodthirsty smile appeared on her face. His eyes were also filled with extreme excitement, and there was a cold murderous aura in his body. Enemy. With a sneer, Gaara opened the gourd on his back, and a large amount of quicksand began to emerge. You two, go see Baki. Gaara at this moment has entered a state of combat, but after all, he has not completely lost his mind. Feeling that Baki's breath hadn't completely disappeared, he found a reason to dispel the two obstructive burdens around him. Shrouded by two murderous auras, Temari and Kankuro, who were trembling in them, were amnesty. They knew that they were not qualified to take part in the next battle, and it would be the greatest help to Gaara not to stay here and make trouble. Gaara, be careful, we'll go to the nearest sand shinobi stronghold for help now. After that, Temari and Kankuro didn't hesitate to turn around and ran in the direction where Baki was. The person who got in the way is gone. Naruto's disguised hoarse voice sounded, and ignored the two who left. State your purpose. Gaara spoke coldly, paused, then sneered and denied herself. It doesn't matter if you don't tell me, it doesn't matter what purpose you have, ha 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 ha. After speaking, Gaara raised her hand, and the overwhelming quicksand rushed towards Naruto. Seeing this, Naruto didn't care. At this time, Gaara, because of a series of stimuli arranged by his father, was completely autistic and could not communicate at all. The prerequisite for wanting to communicate is to wake them up. Seeing the overwhelming quicksand, Naruto also entered a state of battle. Wind style, airflow control, sage mode. In the next instant, Naruto's figure disappeared. Boom, a muffled noise rang out. When he appeared, Naruto had already hit Gaara's stomach with a strong punch. There was a clicking sound, and the sand armor on Gaara's body cracked. And the sand that was automatically defended by his side hadn't been reflected at this moment. In the next instant, the reacting sand separated Naruto from Gaara. The sand armor that had been broken apart was also repaired, and then more sand rushed in, trying to wrap Naruto. Too slow, Naruto murmured, moving behind Gaara in a moment of thought. The sand that wanted to capture Naruto's figure couldn't keep up with his speed. With the blessing of wind-style chakra and sage mode, Naruto's speed is faster than Xiao Li at 5th gate. At this time, Gaara couldn't even keep up with Xiao Li's speed, let alone Naruto at this moment. Perhaps he is qualified to fight against Naruto in terms of ninjutsu, but Naruto does not have the thankless idea of using his own shortcomings to attack each other's strengths. Boom boom boom. A continuous muffled sound sounded. At this moment, Naruto turned into an afterimage in Gaara's eyes. There was a muffled sound from the body, the sand armor quickly shattered, and Naruto's fist began to attack Gaara's body. For the first time, Gaara realized what pain is. When he was a child, he once asked his uncle Yasha how painful it felt. Yashimaru's words couldn't make him feel the same. At this moment, someone finally peeled off the armor made of sand that had been covering him. He experienced pain, it was a feeling that made people unwilling to face it. But now, this kind of feeling that people don't want to face is emerging one after another. The pain that kept pouring into his mind finally broke the string of reason in Gaara's heart. Roar! A wild roar like a beast came from Gaara's mouth. Under the earth, there was a violent shaking, and endless amounts of sand rushed out with chakra. The burst of power forced Naruto, who moved like a butterfly through flowers. Naruto hit Gaara without much effort at all. At this moment, he easily jumped away and retreated 200 meters away. Watching Gaara, who was gradually turning into a huge sand civet cat, a smile appeared on the corner of Naruto's mouth. Are you out? I just ran into the woods and found Baki's siblings Temari and Kankuro. They looked back and turned pale in horror. Shuhei came out. Gaara has completely lost control, and needs to leave here quickly and report the news to Master Feng Ying quickly. Baki said weakly. Hi. In response, Temari and Konkuro both set up Baki, and ran away with the energy of milking. The huge civet cat's body gradually formed. Gaara, standing on the head of a civet cat more than 20 meters high, glanced at Naruto with hatred from afar. Then he closed his eyes completely and handed over the control of his body to Shuhei. Shuhei, who had just come out, didn't understand what was going on, so he raised his head to the sky and let out a long roar. Roar, my uncle has finally come out, Jinchuriki, I'm finally free. After venting the long-lost joy of freedom, Shuhei finally had time to look at his surroundings. There was nothing to care about. Morizuru's gaze finally settled on Naruto's body. Hey, you have a familiar nasty breath about you, Shut up, fat man, dare to say my name and kill you. Before a sentence was finished, an extremely arrogant voice rang in his ear. Kurama, hearing this familiar voice, Shohei muttered in his heart in the exclusive chat channel of Tail Beast. That's right, it's the uncle. Hey, little fat man, share a little of your chakra with my Jinchuriki, and the benefits will be greatly reduced. In the sealed space, Kurama, who is watching the drama, opened his mouth and said. This tone is extremely inflated. It seems that the self-confidence brought by the recent recovery to full body has not dissipated, and it may take a severe beating to relieve it. Can't speak well, I haven't taught you how to be polite. In the sealed space, Naruto scolded Kurama. When Shuhei heard this sentence, it just emerged that this kid Jinchuriki was quite polite, and actually helped him to reprimand Kurama. I heard Naruto turn his head and said, Moritsuru, hello, I am Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto from Kurama. I came to you this time for two things. The first is to borrow some chakra from you. The second is to ask you not to embarrass my little brother named Gaara so that he can get a good night's sleep. If you agree, you will be rewarded afterwards. If you don't agree, I can only beat you up until you agree. N.S. Quote. Naruto's words were polite, but the strong tone of the notice was exactly the same as Kurama. This made Moritzuru, who had just developed a little affection for Naruto, blasted his hair again. Smelly boy, you're looking for death. Shuhei was furious, and the two chubby hands waved their arms, and all of 1,000 meters in a radius began to show signs of desertification. Sandfall funeral. Immediately afterwards, a lot of sand turned into an overwhelming waterfall to seal all the evasion space, squeezing Naruto from all directions. You are ashamed to say that I am impolite. Are you different from me? Kurama stopped watching the drama and began to enjoy the live broadcast of the ninja verses. One Tail Moritzuru. At the same time, he spoke with contempt for Naruto. You have to be polite, but you can't give in when you implement your own will. This is the way to be strong. Furthermore, you tail beasts, each one is better than a tsundere. You eat hard but not soft. You have to fight it before you can speak well. You were stubborn with me for a year at that time. Naruto stabbed Kurama. Faced with the overwhelming sand, Naruto did not evade and chose to deal with it positively. Sage Art. Wind Style. Tornado Wall. This ninjutsu, which was developed by Naruto a long time ago, was used to defend against physical attacks and was used for the first time in an enemy at this moment. As Naruto's hands turned into afterimages, he completed this S-level defensive ninjutsu seal in a very short time. Around his body, a large swath of tornado barriers that were constantly rotating at high speed suddenly appeared. The overwhelmingly squeezed sand, none of them can get close, being cut open by these high-speed rotating wind blades. Naruto did not stay in place, and flew into the sky along the tunnel cut by the tornado barrier around his body, temporarily escaping from the attack range of the sand waterfall. Not waiting for Shozuru to control the sand to catch up, Naruto made another impression. Wind Style. Call the wind and call the rain. Seeing the clouds gradually gathering in the sky, Naruto sneered and pulled out a seal scroll full of metal pellets. It's raining right away, and your sand is useless. Are you convinced? Naruto started to remind Shozuru. The answer to Naruto was the air training bullet spit out overwhelmingly from the mouth of the guard crane. Toast and not eat fine wine. Take me a trick, Wind Style. Spend a bullet. With a sigh, Naruto, who was floating in the air, began to pull out a large number of bullets, and then accelerated with wind-style chakra and swung it towards the show crane below. I can't hit someone less than 2 meters tall, and I can't hit you, a big fat civet cat who is more than 20 meters tall. At this moment, Shuhei didn't know what this little ghost flying in the sky was going to do. However, this did not prevent him from pouring out his anger. After discovering that I couldn't use Naruto with my aerial bombs and sand temporarily, I gave up this useless move. With a mouth, the tailed beast bomb begins to gather. The dark chakra gathered in Shuhei's mouth, exuding a heart-palpitating power. Naruto glanced at the condensing tailed beast bomb, unmoved. The best defense is offense. Keeping waving his hands, Naruto swung the projectiles in his hands towards the Shozuru below. Wind-style chakra controls the airflow, adding powerful kinetic energy to the projectile at the moment it sways out. At the same time, Naruto also opened up a vacuum orbit in front of the projectile. These projectiles do not have to rub against the air to reduce their kinetic energy, which greatly increases the movement speed of the projectiles, directly reaching the level of 1,500 meters per second. Almost at the moment when he left his hand, the densely packed projectiles had already crossed the distance between the two, and blasted on Shohei's body. After being perfected by Naruto, the throwing technique not only increased its attack speed by a large margin, but its attack power also increased accordingly. Rumble. Continuous explosions sounded. After the projectile came into contact with Shuhei's sand body, the movement was blocked, and the kinetic energy attached to it burst out suddenly. Shuhei, who was gathering the tailed beast bomb, found that his body was continuously exploding with holes. Each of these blasted pits is not too big, but the number is extremely large. Many pits are connected together, and Shuhei lost half of his body in almost an instant. And this was only because only a small portion of the projectiles fell on him. From the dense potholes on the ground at this moment, it can be seen that if all the pellets thrown by Naruto fell on him, he could be severely injured as a tail beast almost instantly. The pain of the body being torn makes Shuhei's expression a bit distorted. It wasn't until this time that Shuhei discovered the mighty power contained in the inconspicuous projectile. After understanding this, the scared Shuhei quickly interrupted the aggregation of tailed beast bomb, used chakra to make sand to repair his body, and at the same time applied a huge amount of sand for defense, condensing a shohaji in front of him, shield. Although the tail beast will not die, it will still hurt. At this time, the rain clouds in the sky had already condensed to the limit. The power of the wind-calling rain technique that Naruto used before began to burst, and a heavy rain began to pour down from the sky to the Shuhei, who was protected by a large piece of sand. As the rain dripped, the sand began to condense, out of Shuhei's control. But Naruto's projectiles showed no signs of stopping, and the rain that fell from the sky caused a double blow to Shokugane. Although Shokugane is a tailed beast, both the chakra volume and the recovery ability are very strong, but at this moment, under this double blow, he gradually feels unable to support it. Chakra's recovery began to fail to keep up with the rate of consumption. Previously, the geographical advantage created by the huge chakra was used, but it didn't work at this time, and it was completely overcome by the rain that continued to fall in the sky. The deserted land began to turn into mud. You won't be beaten to death by this human. Suddenly, this idea that had never been thought of before came to Shohei's mind. At the moment this idea emerged, even Shuhei himself felt a bit ridiculous, but the reality made him have to admit that he would undoubtedly lose if he continued to fight like this. First, disperse the rain clouds. Although this projectile has a fast attack speed, the power is not a big deal to me. The big deal is to continue to consume it with him, and even if it loses, it will not be too ugly. Shuhei's thoughts turned, and the tailed beast bomb began to gather again. This time he did not choose to gather the powerful but slower large-tailed beast bomb, but to win by number. However, within a few seconds, Shuhei's mouth opened, and he continuously spewed out a huge amount of tailed beast bomb the size of an egg at Naruto in the sky. Naruto, floating in the sky, glanced at these tailed beast bombs that appeared to be rushing towards him. With a slight turn of his mind, he had already calculated their flight trajectory. As the target the rain cloud behind me. This civet cat is not too stupid. Thinking of this, Naruto's figure moved a little distance and saw that all of Shuhei's tailed beast bomb fell through and flew towards the sky. Boom! Flames filled the sky. The rain clouds that were pouring down were already torn apart by a huge shock wave in a short time, turning into clouds and dissipating in the sky. However, I didn't intend to consume it with you. The bullet spreading technique has good power to clean up miscellaneous fish, and consumes less chakra, but it is not so effective for units like the tail beast whose blood bar grows back to blood quickly. Let's wait for Sasuke to get the electromagnetic cannon technique, then this technique can really be applied to large units like tail beast. Naruto muttered in his heart, and finally started to get serious. Shadow clone technique, sage art, wind style, spiral shuriken. In a flash, Naruto separated 100 shadow clone. To this day, Naruto has already practiced sage mode to the point where it can be advanced in seconds. Even if so many fairy shadow clones were separated at once, he did not withdraw from sage mode. At the same time when these fairy shadow clone appeared, the hands began to condense the spiral shuriken. A few seconds later, the spiral shurikens were condensed, and under the lock of Kagura's eyes, 100 shadow clones simultaneously threw out the high-speed rotating wind magic shurikens in their hands. Seeing that the situation is not good, Shuhei hurriedly recruited a large area of gravel to cover himself in an attempt to defend against the blow. But this is just in vain. In the next moment, many spiral shurikens almost simultaneously hit Shuhei in no particular order. The infinite wind blades spread out almost instantly. Wow! Boom! The strange screams made by Shuhei suddenly received such a powerful attack, accompanied by the earth-shattering explosion. Click! The earth cracked like a broken mirror. Densely dense cracks, like a spider web, spread in all directions, centered on the place where Shuhei was located. The dense smoke and dust permeated, almost instantly shrouded within a few thousand meters of Vice Admiral, and accompanied by strong winds, a disorderly dust storm formed. Such a scene is like a natural disaster. But Naruto, who made all of this, had no waves in his expression, standing in the sky overlooking the earth under his feet. However, after 10 seconds, Naruto had just consumed chakra, and a large part of it had already recovered. Kagura's eyes locked on the Shozuru in the center of the pit and slowly fell down. In the distance, Temari and Kankuro, brothers and sisters who had already escaped some distance, stopped suddenly. A shocking feeling from the heart caused the two of them to cast their eyes on the direction of the battlefield almost at the same time. Then, in the next moment, the two saw an unforgettable scene in their lives. Infinite smoke and dust, rising from the center of the battlefield, filled all the surrounding areas in a flash. Not good, Temari exclaimed, quickly opened the big fan in his hand, and faced one behind him. Scythe Itachi. The air current wind blade emerged and collided with the air current blowing behind him. Tearing, Temari's sleeves were torn apart by the wind blade that was rolled back, but it also saved the younger brother Kankuro and the injured Baki from the fate of being blown away and eating sand. In the perception, those two heart-palpitating murderous auras and the huge chakra have gradually disappeared. At this moment, it was less than 10 minutes before the battle began. Can father rival this power? Kankuro lost his voice in shock. Is this a natural disaster? Even Baki, Jonin, looks ugly at this moment. This is a power far beyond his imagination, and even stronger than the tail beast. Such power made Baki's heart tremble. Just now Shozuru came out, so powerful wind-style chakra, is Shozuru defeated? How is Gaara now? Temari looked at the direction of the center of the battlefield in the rear, frightened by such power, but more worried about the safety of his younger brother. Although this younger brother is not gentle and does not rely on her older sister, Temari still cares for her younger brother. Put me down, you quickly go back and move the rescuers. Baki clutched his gauze belly, and said with difficulty, such important news must be passed back as soon as possible. Jinchuriki, who suddenly attacked us at this juncture, is Konoha who discovered our plan. Should we respond in advance? However, Konoha doesn't have a master who is strong enough to easily deal with the tail beast. Kankuro whispered to himself. Moreover, if it is Konoha's master, how can he hide his identity, and it is normal to warn us honestly. Is it a mysterious organization outside of the 5 ninja village in the ninja world that has a covetous heart for the tail beast? Temari frowned. There was a moment of silence, and the few people were no longer hesitating. Putting Baki in a hidden place next to him, the two siblings ran towards the nearest sand shinobi stronghold without looking back. As I said at the beginning, no matter what the purpose of the enemy is, you must report the news first. Falling from the sky, Naruto stood in front of Shozuru. At this moment, Shuhei looked a bit miserable. The huge figure of more than 20 meters is not there, only the pocket shape of more than 2 meters is left. Moreover, such a pocket-sized figure is also incomplete, and it looks very tattered and embarrassed. Looking at Naruto who fell in front of him, Shuhei was extremely unwilling to open his mouth and said, "Smelly boy, you have the ability to fight with me next time in the desert, you see, I am afraid of you. I just used a little more force and you died." Glancing at Morizuru, Naruto didn't get angry at his dead duck's stiff beak, but unceremoniously pointed out a fact. The 100 spiral shurikens just now not only emptied Shuhei's blood bars, but also emptied the blue bars. If Naruto used another shuriken, Shuhei would have to wait for rebirth. NS. This is not to scare him, because what Naruto used just now was only his own chakra, not counting Kurama's power. Hearing this, Shuhei was silent. This kid really doesn't give any face. However, he had to admit that what Naruto said was true. What I told you before, do you think about it now? The benefits are so great. Kurama proves that it only takes 3 minutes and you will fall in love with the gift I prepared for you. Naruto didn't get too entangled in this topic, but changed the topic along the way, which is a step for Shuhei. I don't care about your so-called gift. If you lose, I will lose. I won't deny it, but I will not lose to you next time I come to the desert. While speaking, Shuhei hummed coldly. With a sound, raised his hand. Dead Tsunere. Naruto muttered inwardly, but didn't say anything, raising his hand to face Shuhei with 2 fists. Then, I felt a powerful and pure chakra flow into my body, finally entered the sealed space, and merged into one of Kurama's tail. Naruto entered Kurama mode and didn't realize the difference to his own strength after adding a Shuhei chakra. However, the benefits are not without. Naruto found that he has a new kind of blood inheritance called magnet style. Although this blood succession limit is very small, it can be strengthened after practicing. After doing all of this, Shozuru was completely exhausted because of the chakra that had just condensed, fell into a deep sleep, and retracted into Gaara's body. The sand covering the body gradually dissipated, revealing the red-haired boy who was sleeping with his eyes closed. At this moment, Gaara lacked a murderous and gloomy face, but added peace and happiness. This teenager, who has never slept well since he was a child, has enjoyed a moment of sleep and relaxation after a long absence. Gaara had a dream. In the dream, a person has been watching him gently. There is no hatred, no killing intent, only gentleness and love with endless kindness. Gaara wanted to get closer to the person who had been watching him gently, but he couldn't get closer. He stretched out his hand, but only touched a piece of sand. Slowly opening her eyes, wiping away the tears that fell unconsciously from the corner of her eyes, Gaara said in a low voice, "It's a dream." "It's not a dream," a gentle voice sounded. Gaara looked up and saw a blonde teenager wearing a black shirt, sitting on the gravel next to him, watching him with a gentle gaze. "Hello, I am Uzumaki Naruto. Starting today, I hope to be your friend." Listening to these gentle and sincere words, I looked directly at the clear eyes of the blonde boy and the hand that was stretched over. At this moment, Gaara was moved. For the first time, someone is willing to accept his existence. The coldness in his heart began to melt, a smile appeared on his face, he sat up from the ground and held this hand, "Okay." At this moment, Gaara saw a teenager who had the same experience as him, who had been squeezed out from around and isolated by everyone since he was a child. Longing for love, but in the end it only ushered in alienation. His life was full of coldness and darkness like him, but he also got some bright colors after working hard. And now, he brought this bright color to himself. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.